Yeah, give us a sec. We're booting it up. We got a nice new layout going. Don't worry. Appreciate you guys coming in here. Just give us a sec. Alrighty. What you guys think, man? Nice little cool little starting screen. You guys like it? Give me about like one more minute. We're gonna get this going. Tweaking some last minute stuff. Appreciate you guys coming in here. Oh, we got Arizona boy in here. I keep seeing your name everywhere, man. Why the chat always bring you up? In every comment section, Arizona boy. Bud beat Spence. Think he turned into the face of boxing. And I fuck with Bud. Damn. Okay. We're gonna talk about that. Spence run it back with Bud. That's if Spence wants to run it back with Bud. Alright? We the people. Probably getting these straps. That's all that matters. Okay. Alright. Arizona casual? Damn. Bud knew something was off with Spence. Alright. Where's Sean's lives been? They coming too. Don't worry. We got many lives coming, Boston. Where's Sean at? He coming. Don't worry. We got a lot of people over here at FightHype. Are we getting Z-Cap? We should be getting a Z-Cap. Alright. Alrighty. We're gonna get this going. Are you gonna open up the StreamYard for us to talk or no? Is that what you guys want? Cause this ain't no StreamYard I'm using. This that top of the notch stuff, alright? We doing it. We're gonna do it right, alright? But if you know, maybe we can start creating lines, right? That's what we're gonna do. Alright, y'all. Well, you guys are tuning in to the first Believe the Hype. We're gonna do it right. What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Ron Goodall. I usually don't show my face out here pretty often. Maybe every once in a while. But one of the many over here at FightHype. And of course, Mr. Ben Thompson, the owner of FightHype. Maybe he might make an appearance here and there, but we're gonna definitely wrap this up and talk about what everyone's been wondering. Who the hell is Sebastian Fundora supposed to fight, all right? Is it Terence Crawford? Is it Errol Spence Jr.? The truth, right? What do you guys think? Who deserves the fight, all right? Is it about the winner, or is it about the idea of who allegedly makes more money, right? So we'll recap all the fights of the great action-packed pay-per-view on Amazon Prime, the PBC. First, was it? Yeah, the first technically event of 2024, right? Also, the exciting exchanges of the new champions and a little bit. I didn't get to see the Golden Boy fight, but we can go over all of it. And also the Sinisa Estrada fight and Oscar Valley. We can talk about all that right now. So don't worry about it, all right? But, like I said, my name's Ron Goodall. You might have heard many of the interviews I've done. And so we're going to kick this off right. We're going to do it right. So who do you guys think? You guys tell me. Let's read the chat, all right? Let's get this going. Crawford needs to retire. The angry casual fan. All right, well, maybe a little angry. I don't know why you think he need to retire. Big Jake. Shout out Big Jake. Spence fan so hurt. He's not the same fighter. Ashley Martinez, how many champs is that for Mexico? Yeah, there's a lot of Mexican fighters. They can definitely fight. Stranger danger. Where's Sean? Sean's somewhere. Sean's somewhere. Don't worry. All right. All you guys, relax. My boy Sean was at the fight with me last night. There's many of us over at FightHype. So we're just rolling out a whole bunch of new shows. And this is one of many. And this is the first Believe the Hype. So let's see. Errol, this is about money, isn't it? It's always about money, right? Right? It's always about money. I'm the big Errol Spence K. This isn't a question, but all day. Team but all day. Crawford needs to drop the belts or retire. Why can't he just go up and get some more belts, right? Right? This is what we do, right? As champions, we want more belts. Spence wants more belts. Crawford wants more belts. Bud deserves the fight. I'm a huge EJ fan. Arlo, Fundora's a problem. Has to rematch. Is that you talking about Tim Tszyu and Fundora need a rematch? 3 day easy. 6, I'll step up and fight Bud. Okay. Salute. Shout out to Devon. What's up, Devon? Matt Bar's production. Tim needs a rematch. I agree. Clayton, man. I'm telling you, man. My boy Sean is one of the many over here. We got a lot of stuff. Z-Caps will be coming. Bud is holding up the 147 division. I mean, maybe he's going to the 154 division. This is what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about who is Sebastian Fundora supposed to fight next, okay? That's 154, unification. Is it Terence Crawford or Errol Spence, right? But I do agree. If he's at 147, then we got to make something moving. Anything other than a rematch with Tim is corrupt. I guarantee you Tim can actually see if he knocks him out in the 7th. Yo, that blood was serious. That was a serious problem, right? I agree. The business of boxing always stops the best matchups. Crawford at this point is a much-watched TV. He would sell a stadium out in Omaha. Also in Vegas. Let's see. Don't see a rematch happening. It's most likely Fundora versus Spence. There is a vacant IBF out there at 154. So we'll see. Who the hell is this guy? This guy is one of the guys that you've been watching for years here on FightHype. Matter of fact, hold on. Let me do this right, all right? Because I don't do this. This is gonna be a new thing, right? The whole going live. So we gonna do this right, all right? For all the people who don't know me by face, which is pretty much everybody in here, I'm gonna show you by voice, all right? So this is what we're gonna do. We gonna have a little fun today. And really actually dissect a few interviews. And I think the one that's kind of got everyone a little stirred up is the good old Samson Lukowitz one, all right? All right? So let's get that. Let me get this. Let's mute the music for a sec. If you guys haven't seen this, we got this over at FightHype right now, all right? So good old Samson Lukowitz. If you don't know, congratulations. He's going into the Hall of Fame, And he's not just David Benavidez' his promoter, but he's also Sebastian Fundora's.
What I say, it was
So let's recap. This is him immediately right after
by mistake,
the big upset win against Tim Tszyu.
but he was winning every round. So now I made history again. I 200 and 200 to 50. No más Canelo.
Sam, all week you told us that your guy was ready. All week you said that Fundora was ready. What is tonight's performance of him prove?
What I say, he was ready and he will win. The only thing I thought that he would knock him out, but I need to give him credit to Zoom. And he will get the rematch, but not in this moment. Now I need to maximize the most money for the fighter. And I believe he deserves it.
Is that Errol Spence Jr.?
That's correct.
Over Crawford? Like, does Spence more money?
No, Crawford will not sell out 90,000 people in Dallas. I can tell you that much.
Is Crawford the better fighter that you
Oh, yes, but, like everybody wait. Like Benavides wait. Why not Crawford? Let him wait one time or maybe twice, and then he go.
Even with Spence, losing the fight, Crawford beating, you still think the value's better on Spence?
In the end of the day, is maximize the profit for the fighter. And it'd be stupidity for me not to do that for him.
So safer for Spence.
And besides that, boxing is business. As Mayweather, as everyone.
So would you say, not saying Spence is easy, but maybe more money, maybe get some ready for the Crawford fight, maybe in preparation?
I believe that it is one of the point that, Spence is a really good fighter anyway, especially in 54. So I believe that he will have a shot, but now we need to wait like it make to weigh others. That is the boxing world. It's not only one way, it's two way. All
right. So that voice, my voice, little reflection, y'all. But no, like I said, this is not me trying to flex or whatnot. Obviously, I don't come on here, and it's just a new thing. So you will be seeing my face. I'm one of the many guys out there that do interviews, and the reason why I pulled this interview out, outside of just showcasing, I'm one of the many guys here at FightHype that do interviews, is that this one right here kind of tells, at least from the promoter side, what he's looking at for Sebastian Fundora. All right, Sebastian Fundora is thinking, I want Terence Crawford over Spence. He said that at the post conference, but his promoter's thinking otherwise, and the reason why he's going otherwise because he feels that it makes more money. So we're here to discuss and debate. Do you feel that the business of boxing, in this sense, should determine who should fight next, or do you feel that the winner in this situation should get that? But I'm gonna run into the chat and kind of catch up. Just put a little respect on my name. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, Ben Thompson, the owner, is in the chat. So feel free to at him. He's the one that started all this stuff. He's the voice of behind all the Floyd interviews and the legendary Andre Wars and many other like Amir Khan. So we collectively have such a great team. So shout out to Ben, shout out to Sean, shout out to Hans, shout out to everyone that's contributed. Frankie, in LA. So you're gonna see all of us collectively as a team. Not just do interviews, but just rock with you guys and kind of engage and kind of give you guys more personal interaction. So let's see. EJ is a joke and his fans are pathetic. Whoa, okay. Happy for them just stripping of the belt, and EJ should fight Boots. All right. Look. I know. There's a lot of boxing politics and stuff like that, but I think Errol can still kind of get a couple fights in there that's worthy. So sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some, right? This is the same guy that gave Canelo shit for ducking David Benavidez. There's a pick and choose. Yeah, I feel like the whole mandatory this and that. There's a lot of that in boxing, right? The whole picking and choosing the situation. It's always been about business and numbers, and you are only great if someone gives you a shot to prove it. How many times did Bud thank Errol after the fight? Now Bud want to talk shit to Errol. Well, there's two sides you can look at it, right? You obviously got the A side who quote unquote does the selling. He's the chosen one, the golden boy, the one that made the decisions to lead him or get the opportunity sometimes, right? Because they get the better opposition to put him in position. So, but there's also resentment, you know, and it's competitive, right? Like, why is this dude thinking he can jump the line? Just pretty much what Crawford's tweets was, just to jump the line when I'm undisputed and I have the actual belts and the proper authority to position myself, right? That's, you know, so there's two ways to look at it, right? But, you know, Errol, like, look, it's BBC, like, you know, it's all family over here. So still making the right decisions. ASAP, he's the big dog now. Bud made him change his name. You know what? I kind of like the big dog, though. You got, like, the Snoop Dogg braids going on. So I'm cool with that. What is Crawford's ranking at 154? He needs to get in line. F the BS. It's not his ranking. It's his what's the better word? His entitlement, right? When you become the champion, especially undisputed, there's rules in their actual sanctioning bodies that allowed him to jump up. That's how he got the Jeff Horn fight. See, he was undisputed at 140, and he was able to jump straight into the Jeff Horn fight. And that's kind of essentially what he's doing here after being undisputed at 147. So it's just a repeat plan if he wins Fundora. Let's see, 3 pumps. I need an origin to your name. But what is Crawford's ranking at? Oh yeah, that's why I just read that. The WO said they're in negotiations for Terence Crawford, and you are correct. There was an interview with my boy Kevin Garcia, another member of FightHype, who did a great job. He went to Puerto Rico, and I'll play those clips too, where Paco explains that Crawford's coming out there getting appreciated, you know, celebrated. He gets a WBO ring, and that they are putting the idea of putting the negotiations, and it's going to be next week. So, no, facts. I was paying FH to respect. Don't know what the other fans are saying though. I appreciate everyone who rocking with, coming in, supporting. LOL, it's a business decision. That's why Errol will get it. The decision has nothing to do with pleasing the fans. And you know what? It's a bittersweet thing because, like, the business is to please the fans. Does that make sense? Because without the fans, you can't really make it. But it may not be the core boxing fans. Is what the conversations is always about, right? It's the business, but you can't make money without people. And it may not just be targeted to us, right? There's a bigger audience outside of boxing. So it's always about business. You gotta understand Errol Spence is with Al Heyman. I mean, Errol Spence is with Al Heyman. And Al Heyman's gonna look out for his fighters. I want Crawford versus Lara. Why not Crawford versus Fundora? Angry casual fan. Like, why don't you want that? Why don't you want Crawford to fight Fundora? That's all I'm asking. You can have Crawford versus Lara, but I just don't understand why you're positioning that one. Maybe unless you feel that's a more exciting fight, right? Because it's still a title, right? A middleweight title. So either or, it's a win-win. So it does not make more money. That's a PBC lie. I mean, yeah. I mean, what's crazy is we don't know, right? We don't know the value of Spence after the loss, and we don't know the value of Crawford after the win. So this is all hypothetical. We really technically don't know who's the bigger draw, right? It's safe to say that Spence has Texas, he has the Cowboy Stadium, and he has a very strong, loyal fan base. But how much has the respect that Crawford gained with going to the different medias and building different relationships? I mean, he just had Eminem walk him out, right? And he was just at the Dr. Dre Hollywood, floor signing or whatever out in LA, the Boulevard, where he puts his hands down and getting like a Hollywood floor. Like that stuff does matter, right? And he's the winner, so people are attracted to the winner. But Spence definitely has a little fan base, so we really don't know who's the bigger attraction. We just have to see. But that's what we are here to debate, all right? It does not make more money than this. All right. Fundora versus Spence would be interesting from Michael Roberts. Fundora versus Crawford would not be. Do you feel because the fight is more competitive, stylistic? Is that why you think that Fundora and Spence would be a more interesting fight? No, it shouldn't be the winner. Oh, shit. Let's see. I just lost you, buddy. Fundora should fight Charlo next. Oh, yeah, the chat. All right. Lost you. All right. I'm gonna just try to find who the hell is this guy? It's your boy Ron Goodall. Don't worry about it. Sean has a newborn baby, guys. Give him some time. Yeah, he definitely does. I also have a newborn baby. You know, shout out to FightHype. We don't miss. Tay-Day, Sean had a baby girl. Give my boy some time. Yeah, everyone, don't worry. Sean is coming. You know, so. First of all, Bud is not even undisputed. No more, because he has lost one of those belts. He has a Duran boots problem he needs to be focused on. Not my boy EJ is doing his. Yeah, not what my boy EJ is doing. Look, as a boxing fan, I would love to see Boots versus Crawford, right? And if that fight doesn't materialize, then I would love to see the next best thing. It's Fundora and Crawford. Because really, we knew what Crawford wanted. He wanted Canelo. But Canelo doesn't want Crawford. So then, obviously, at that point, looks like Crawford wants Fundora. It seems like it, right? There's many options. But if that's the case, it's a trickle-down effect. Canelo's like the bigger star. And then obviously, you know, Crawford's the bigger star than Boots. So it's like a hierarchy. So if Crawford can't get Canelo, then Crawford's going to be in the position of, all right, then looking at the best options. And I got a lot of love and respect for Boots. I've been covering from a long time. But it's just one of those positions where it's a patience game, you know? And it could be hypocritical, and it looks like it from all different situations where Canelo, his mandatory, and then you get Crawford with his mandatory, and then, you know, Boots, who wants an opportunity, but wasn't given one, and obviously, like, Bud had an opportunity that he wanted, but it took a while. Like, it's a lot of that going on in boxing. You can point out all the little hypocrisies and things that you feel, but there's a consistency with all this. And what it is that when they get in a position, they want to go to what's best for them. And Crawford going to 154 for titles is not a bad thing. Like, it's not like he's looking at another individual who hasn't accomplished anything. Like, this is a unified 154 champion. And that's what Errol Spence is looking to do. It's almost synonymous that these two guys, one won, one lost, both are still heading towards the same guy. So maybe if you look at one as a comeback fight, if you believe Spence can do it, if you feel like it's a cash out, if Spence can't do it, if you feel like Crawford is voiding Boots, or you feel like Crawford is going to what he's entitled to and wanting to achieve a 4-division championship. There's so many different narratives that, you know, you can spin it whatever way that you want. But I'm not mad at anyone in this boxing. That's really what we're here to discuss. But really, if you ask my opinion, whoever deserves this fight, as a boxing fan, I believe Crawford should. Just because if you keep it as the sport, the winner should get the opportunity to challenge tougher competition and go for more greatness. Not saying that Spence doesn't deserve it equally, right? Just because he lost, because guys lose all the time. Roberto Duran, Tommy Hearns, like those guys lost, but still got opportunities to prove that they were still great. And this is what Errol's trying to do. So it's not me stripping away that opportunity, but just following the hierarchy is that the momentum that Crawford has done as being 2-time undisputed. He's trying to be unified, you know, in another division. And if Crawford can't get that, you know, then Spence should, in my opinion. But there's a whole business, there's a whole relationship, and plus Crawford's gonna want that fight, you know. And if he does, there's a WBO negotiations thing that's going on, and we're gonna find out if that belt is gonna stay with Fundora. You know, you just heard Samson Lukowicz, like I just played. He's thinking Errol Spence. Why? He thinks I'm gonna go to Texas, Cowboy Stadium. We're gonna sell this fight out. So he's thinking money. And as a promoter, you want to maximize the opportunities for your fighter. See, going back, like, let me rewind. Like, Tim Tszyu, this was supposed to be his kind of breakout fight and audition for a Crawford or Spence fight, right? And he's trying to maximize his opportunity. And at first, he's talking about, I would like Crawford. Then his manager started talking about, well, you know, maybe we might do Spence, right? Because we want to make the most money. You can't keep hearing everyone saying this. There's this interview I did with Leonard Ellerby, and I'll play that too, who also echoes the same feelings, that he feels that Spence is a more lucrative fight. And from that point, you know, I'll let the big man explain it to you guys if you haven't seen it already. So let me see.
Will be Errol Spence, or would Terence Crawford eclipse?
Only in my opinion.
Yes, the loyalty, the business sense, and even if people can go and nitpick on maybe the business, who may sell more, or the potential of selling the fight bigger, would it still be Errol Spence, or would Terence Crawford eclipse?
Only in my opinion.
Yes,
it's only in my opinion, because I just happen to know the numbers, and I know the business that all these fighters who have fought on pay-per-view and what their live gates look like. I know that. I know that. Errol Spence against the winner of that fight is a bigger fight.
Even with Terence beating Spence and, you know, being the undisputed.
So a lot of times don't really have nothing to do with that. And it's no disrespect to anybody. It's just sometimes how the business is.
Do you think the fans will feel like, because the business, it shows that, and then it's an opinion based, right? Or
sure.
That Spence would probably get the fight for being the PBC and things like that. Would the fans be a little upset that maybe the one who...
What fans?
The fans, you know, who watch the sport and say, hey, Crawford won. He should... The more legacy-defining fight.
The fans on Twitter?
I mean, in general.
Okay, boxing fans is different from the fans on Twitter. And that's where I kind of run into situations with people on Twitter, the Twitter managers and the Twitter promoters. They don't know the first thing about a fucking big fight. And I'm not talking about that fight.
Correct.
I'm just saying in general, because I've heard conversation. This fight is a big fight. No, it's not. What's considered a big fight? You have boxing stars and you have superstars. Okay? There's a big difference. There's a big difference. You have a lot of boxing stars. You know, all these guys are boxing stars. But a superstar and then being a crossover mainstream guy, that's like at the highest level. And it's like that's at the pinnacle. And, you know, it's not guys running around here with the ability to do that, because that's a process. That is a process. It's like, yeah. It's a process from being a boxing star to being a household name. That's kind of really to sum it up. To become a household name, that shit is damn near impossible. You know, but if you've been there before, you know what it looks like and what it feels like. But everybody kind of thinks, and again, I'm not talking no specific fighters, but when it just comes down to the business, it's different. And I understand the fans get frustrated. Y'all don't want to do this. It don't come down to that. The business is what it is. The numbers will never, ever lie. The people will. The numbers won't lie. I guarantee you they won't. They won't change.
You know, with the whole free agent of Terence, if Terence wanted to come back and do like a PBC deal, is that what he would need to do, I guess?
I can't speak for Terence Crawford. He has his own representation. Terence is a very smart guy. He has great representation. He just come off of a huge fight with Errol Spence that did very good business. He has a good team. So they would be able to answer that question better. And he's a phenomenal fighter. I can just tell you about the relationship over here with like somebody like Errol Spence. Mm-hmm. Like, he's on speed dial with Al. He's on speed dial with him.
How does a fighter who...
Okay, so let me pause right there, because there's a lot to digest, right? And a lot to talk about. And I want to catch up with the chat also. And while that plays out and you guys chat over what your opinions on what Ellerby said, I'm going to start right here with my boy Marcus Jones. Ellerby's just talking like he's a PBC mule, all right? Well, he's with PBC, so, you know, he got to support his own. So I can't knock anything like that. But he's definitely going to support. John, Tom, Ranji play Street Fighter 6. I play fighting games. I actually got a fight stick. I didn't really get into Street Fighter 6 too much. I've been playing Tekken 8. But if y'all want the smoke, we just don't talk boxing. We play fighting games too. Alright? So, and while we on the topic too, your boy got the Errol Spence Terence Crawford shirt on too. Fitting, but yeah. I play a lot of Street Fighter. When you see that clown emoji, you know he hurt. Who hurt this feeling using the clown emoji? Let's see. Household bro. Crawford is about to drop the belts. I mean, he wants to go 154, right? So why hold up the division, right? So if he drops the belts, 154 it is, right? And then free it out. WBO vacated belt next week. Oh, I hope not. I hope we can get Fundora, Crawford, right? You don't want to get politics to kind of, get in the way. But if Spence fights Fundora, that's a good fight too. Like, I'm not knocking Fundora fighting either one. It seems like the trend is everyone claims that Spence is the bigger draw, makes more money. If that is true, and if we had hindsight, then if money is what you want and make a big event, then so be it. I'm not mad at that. But without hindsight, you as a boxing fan, the chat's full of boxing fans, you want to see the best fight the best. And you want to see the winner of last night on that great Amazon Prime card that was full of action-packed fights we're about to go over, face the winner of that super fight, right? It only makes sense. But maybe Spence could fight Fundora. If he beats Fundora, it sets up a great rematch, right? So there's so many different type of plays that you can do. We just have to wait it out, right? Like we can't knock really any guy. But as just a boxing fan, you just probably prefer the winner of that fight the winner of that fight. Maybe you can do Spence versus Tim Tszyu, right? Right? Nah, it doesn't sound as good, but it's just one of those things where I think the UFC does, like, the winner of those face the winner of each other, and the loser of those face each other to get back into contention, right? But boxing has a lot more too than just one company owning everybody. So, let's see. You do not want your business destroyed by Crawford, Matt says. You feel like Crawford's just running through them, I mean, technically, the business isn't destroyed by Crawford because if Crawford fights them, they're in business together, right? That's how boxing works, man. Like, they're almost like a brotherhood, right? Essentially, by destroying a business, it's not working with them, Like, I'm the guy, so I'm not going to work with you guys, and then what are you guys going to do, right? Crawford deserves to be blackballed if he's going to do it to Boots. I mean, is it because the fact that Boots is not fighting Crawford? Is that why you feel like he deserves to be blackballed? I mean, I can't be really mad at the opinion because you also feel that's the best at 147, fighting the best at 147. So, you really want to see that fight? I'm not mad at that either. That's a great fight. I just don't know if Crawford's staying at 147. So, because he's not staying at 147, I don't think it's realistic. But if he does stay at 147, that's the fight to be made, right? I don't, there's no other fight that really draws a boxing fan outside of Boots, So, WBO vacated next week. Hope not. Buzz fights one time per year. So does many other fighters fight one time a year. I just hope, they could kind of negotiate more fights and get things a little bit faster. So, I'm not a big fan of one fight a year, but until Crawford drops the belts, nothing he says is relevant. Well, time will tell, right? We got next week to see what this WBO thing works out, right? So, give it maybe a week, and we can kind of nitpick a little bit more. WBO rep says Spence got to wait. You got to wait if he wants the WBO belt, right? You got to remember, if they still want to make Fundora Spence, they can still make it. They just don't have to have that belt. They still have the WBC belt, right? It just won't be for unification. So the fight can still get made. Just like understand, just because Fundora has two belts, right, doesn't mean that he has to fight Errol Spence Jr. They can still fight, and they can technically fight without either belt. Now, as a boxing fan, you never like to see a champion lose their belt, you know, because of the quote-unquote mandatory, right? Especially if it's like someone like Terence Crawford, or how many people feel about Terence Crawford when Boots was the mandatory, or how Canelo was mandatory, David Benavidez, and yada yada, right? So I get that, but there's a business side, which Leonard is talking about in this interview. There's a business side, what Samson Lukowitz is talking about. Does it make more than Crawford? I don't know. I can't prove that. But based off what they believe, that they're going to what is the more money marketable fight. And maybe it's even the easier fight, you know, the easier money making fight. And it's not not saying that Fundora's gonna beat Spence, right? But the conditions are Spence is moving up in weight, he's coming off a big loss, you know, people have questioned if he was the same before the Crawford or after, especially after the Crawford fight. So they might look at it as like bigger money, easier fight, and then maybe we can even condition ourselves to Crawford, right? You know, work our way to get to that fight. Because Crawford's not an easy fight, and even though Spence lost, may not be an easy fight too. So, but I'm just like y'all. I'm never a fan when belts get dropped, and you know. But if you think about it, if that's the case, then we will want to watch fights until the champion officially gets beat, and that's Father Time or tough fight after tough fight and tough fight and tough fight. And realistically, boxers are too smart to just do that to themselves, right? Not saying that they don't think they could beat them, but it's about maximizing your career. These guys are getting older. You also gotta be smart in boxing too, right? So, let's see. Promoters stealing from the fans, but the fans do steal from the promoters too, you know, by all this live streaming. But I get what you're saying. You ain't gotta watch or support the fights that you don't like, you know. So, but I get what you're saying, Southwest Dice. It's not a shot. I get it. Let's see. Money picks the fights. Money traditionally does pick the fights, you know. So, all right. I got a super chat from my boy Matt. There is 0% chance that Spence versus Fundora is more profitable than Crawford, Fundora. The WBO and PBC have always hated each other. Well, I mean, I don't know if you guys seen it. Let me play this because let me go WBO Press. All right, let's see. If you guys haven't seen this was a month ago, all right, in Puerto Rico. My boy Kevin Garcia, shout out to Kevin Garcia. He went to Puerto Rico, and he was covering the Jake Paul Mano Serrano fight, right? And he got this for you guys. Like, you know, he essentially got that hot interview with him.
What do you think it's...
Let me see. And this is what he said.
He fights against Keith Thurman pretty...
You know, on papers, you have to pick Tszyu on papers for his next mandatory.
Yeah, definitely does. Definitely does. Last question here.
And let me tell you.
Oh, please.
I can tell you. Crawford will be here next week.
That was my next. I was going to ask you about Crawford next. Okay. So anything you can share about that visit?
Yeah, we're going to prepare a special recognition for him, but we're going to talk about that fight.
Yeah, so exactly. You know, he's currently the 147-pound champ. He has 3 of the 4 titles, the major titles, WBO being one of them. From what you know or what you can share, is he staying at 147? Is he going to relinquish that belt? Does he get an automatic bid for the champ at 154?
I'm not authorized to say that he loves to fight in 154. Okay?
Okay.
But I'm not authorized to explain you, make it public. But I have been talking to Crawford for long now. But he will be in Puerto Rico this week. He will be in Puerto Rico on Friday, okay? He will be here for the fight. And on Saturday, we have the recognition for him. And he will be at the show on Friday and on Saturday. And you're going to have the opportunity to ask Crawford about that.
I will. I definitely will.
And you have the breaking, because you are the first that we are saying this is the first guy. I talked about Crawford and the possibility that he moved to 154.
Gotcha. Now, just the last question. Do you
All right. So following up Kevin, which he later did ask Crawford, and Crawford did say that he was interested. One of the options was looking at the winner. It was Thurman Tim at the time. But if you can see, let me see if I can zoom this in real quick for y'all. Let's see. Actually, let me zoom in. All right, right here. All right. So this was last night, right? Same guy, WBO president. So this is what his tweet said, all right? Great fight in Vegas. Tim Tszyu show, again, that he's one of the best 154-pounders. Congrats to Tim and Sebastian Fundora. Tremendous World Boxing Organization title bout in which Fundora received judge's decision. All right? Next week, WBO will order negotiations for Fundora versus Terence Crawford. So, for the Crawford fans out there, and the we gotta get the right thing. That's the move. That's the play right there. That is what is going down, right? And you heard a month ago that they were in discussions of talking about getting to it, and then Paco is fulfilling that. So there is hope, Crawford fans, that this fight can happen. But like I said, if they decide to drop the belt and do all these type of things, then we might be looking at Fundora Spence. And that's just boxing, right? So hopefully we can, like I said, me personally, I prefer Crawford versus Fundora, but Spence and Fundora still will be a huge event. It would be a great boxing event. And you got to look at it like, I think everyone understands the best versus the best concept, but let me just kind of break the Errol Spence narrative, right? You got a guy who came off of a tremendous opportunity, like a big fight, a tremendous fight, lost to allegedly, arguably the best fighter on planet Earth. Then everyone kind of was like, all right, he's done, he's damaged goods and all that stuff. Then you get this huge, towered guy who wasn't supposed to win this fight, comes on last minute notice, blood and guts war, and defeats Tim Tszyu. Now, I don't know about you, but in the chat, just tell me right now, who do you guys think wins the fight? Is it Fundora or Errol Spence? If you guys, right now, tell me who wins the fight. And then also another super chat, my boy Matt. Just seems like the boxing game is trying to set up Spence Crawford too. It might, like it would be bigger and better if they fought this way versus the immediate rematch. It just makes sense. So, and I think maybe everyone probably would agree. So, especially if Spence had like a dominant performance. But all right, let's see. What does the chat think? All right, Spence might chop him down. Spence, Errol wins. Fundora probably. All right, tell Errol Spence to go fight Jamel Charlo. Spence wins, then fights Thurman. Spence breaks him down. Okay, all right. Now is that, okay, I got a Fundora. Okay, here comes the Fundoras. Spence. Fundora. Where's it, Rolly? Happy Easter. Oh yeah, shout out Happy Easter real quick. I'm sorry, I did this all wrong. I should have started this live chat with Happy Easter if you celebrate it, right? Happy Easter to everyone out there. And as Rolly said, Happy Easter after that big balls performance against Aesop Pitbull Cruz. We're gonna move to the card, like we're almost wrapping up on this portion. But I see a lot of Fundoras and I do see some Spences, but Spence kills the body, beats Fundora. So it's almost 50-50 now, right? So it's not really like Fundora gonna shock the world. So I do see it's very 50-50. Fundora got lucky beating Tim Tszyu. Okay, but regardless, right? I can tell that the opinions are split on Fundora and Spence. So it's not as one-sided as many people think on either or. So if Spence comes from a devastating fight, a loss to Terence Crawford, right? Moves up, fights this giant tall guy, overcome the quote-unquote adversities, right? And that's a story itself, right? Because really when you think about it, that fight can be really 50-50 because the unknown of Spence is there. And that alone even if you pick Spence to win, you would champion him for winning this type of fight right after a fight like that, right? So it's a good fight too. So listen, they're both really good fights, and it maybe I might be slightly Crawford biased, right? And I'm okay admitting that, just in the sense of just this is what I prefer when I'm watching fights. But the Spence fight is also like a great story, especially if he overcomes that. Now, check it out. If Fundora beats Spence, right, maybe they'll come to the Crawford fight later. And if he destroys Spence just like Crawford, now you're really like more like juiced up to see Crawford and Fundora face each other, right? So there's that marination stuff that boxing does, that it does work too. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it does also create the money, the business stuff. And that's kind of what I think Leonard and even Samson didn't really want to answer the Crawford question about maybe going Spence then Crawford. But that stuff does make a difference, you know? So, but either or, I mean, it was a great night of boxing last night. Like, I'm gonna move from the big controversy. Obviously, we won't know until next week what the WBO goes. I've stated I think Crawford deserves the opportunity, but I wouldn't be mad if Spence got it. And I understand that there's a money and a family loyalty, because I don't think Crawford's aligned with PBC, and so he would have to negotiate with them. So it's the whole politics game. So, but outside of the politics, Amazon Prime from top to bottom, action-packed fight, right? Like action-packed, you know. From the main event, Tim Tszyu and Sebastian Fundora, you know, Keith Thurman was removed 12 days. Sebastian Fundora stepped in and fought who arguably could be one of the best, if not maybe the best 154 pounder, you know, outside Jamel Charlo if he's coming back. And it was a bloodbath. I mean, from top to bottom. And I think everyone in chat can agree two things have happened. The cut on top of Tim Tszyu's head definitely affected him. The first two rounds, Tim was in a nice groove, and he had that brutal cut. And Fundora, I think, was bleeding in that same instant. And when, you know, me and my boy Sean was at the fight, you know, we already knew at that moment, like, momentum can swing. And already in the third round, you can see that Fundora had picked it up. And the nice thing that Fundora even said that in the fight week was that, yo, if you watch my Brian Mendoza fight, I was sticking the jab to him more, right? And for the most part, there we go. For the most part, he stuck to this boxing strategy. He used his height. He used his reach. And with the blood coming down, where Tim had to wipe it and had a constant reset by wiping it, and you got a jab coming at him, and then on top of it, he got to reach. You know, he couldn't just comfortably pop someone. He had to reach to this tall guy and take chances, and that's what led to the headbutt. He took a chance. He leaped in, bumped into the elbow, blood's all over the place. So obviously, I think that affected the performance of Tim. Not making excuses, right? I think we all expected some sort of tough fight for both, but hats off to Tim Tszyu, hats off to Fundora. They gave the fight fans an amazing main event for that PBC card. As a hardcore boxing fan, you have to appreciate something like that. And you gotta appreciate the heart and grit, right? If you were a smart corner, and I'm not saying Tim's corner wasn't smart, but like if you're really like looking at this situation like we can lose this fight, do you send your fighter back out there who has a headbutt cut in the by the third round? Which we know, if you don't, no contest after 4 rounds. If you go and say, look, the cut's too bad, we gotta stop it, it's a no contest, and nobody wins. He keeps the belt. You know, the WBC belt's still vacant. They can do a rematch, or maybe he says, enough of this Fundora, I'm going straight to Spence or Crawford. We dodged a bullet. But no, he decided to continue to want to fight. And he fought outside of that 4th round. And he put himself now at judging jeopardy. And he lost the fight. And he almost won the fight, right? It was split. So Tim, you have to take your hat off to Tim. And it's not discrediting Fundora, because Fundora won regardless by using his intelligence, his height, and his reach, and it is what it is. We bleed, you get cuts. Like, Fundora didn't get hit by an elbow, but look at his face right there, right? So you're going to get hurt. You're going to bleed. But props to Tim for not taking that kind of protective way of keeping the belt and ensuring like big fights and giving us a great entertaining fight for 12 rounds. Both guys could have took a knee and they didn't. Those shots were serious. You can hear those shots. And that's why we're even talking about Errol, Spence, and Crawford, because those guys gave us a great fight and we want to see either one of these guys with them. So, all right, let's see. Let's go back. The whole prime was fire by Errol. Absolutely. I mean, we're about to move to the co-main in a sec. Tim would have cooked Fundora without that cut. Unfortunately, it happened when it deserves an instant rematch. And I agree too. Outside of Crawford Spence, like, let's just, like, you know, Tim does deserve a rematch. And like, it didn't seem there was a rematch clause. It never seemed that these title shots typically get a rematch clause when there's like a vacant, but it was just never negotiated, I think. So I think Samson mentioned that he might want to do Spence and then maybe Tim, which kind of leaves Crawford out again. But either or, I do agree that that cut affected Tim 1,000%. But it's boxing, you know. People get cut all the time, and they find a way to win. And unfortunate, he was this close, and you know it happens. But he's still a great fighter. He became a world champion. So shout out to Tim, and shout out to Fundora for being the first brother and sister for being a champion at the same time. Antonio's thoughts: Crawford can't afford to have Boots Ennis to move up to 154. So what's going to happen is Crawford will be voted to face Fundora. I mean, we'll see. So we're waiting. We got 1 week for that. Spence knocks Fundora out with a body shot. That would be crazy, Angry Casual fan. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. He is a great body puncher. And Tim didn't do enough body punching. I wish he did a little bit more, but it's easier said than done. You got to really make your way into a guy that tall who's boxing. Yep, but it's a waste of talent, not enough numbers, and following. Why? I mean, it's subjective, right? But, you know, sometimes you got to get the right opportunities. And, you know, you heard it from him that he was on this side of the street, Spence was on that side of the street. And, you know, why couldn't he get this guy if you're over there? And, you know, so boxing is a lot of times about opportunities, you know, and Spence had the better opportunities for sure. And it helped him out, you know. And, you know, and at the end of the day, it's not saying that Terence didn't fight nobody. Doesn't have his star power. You know, when he goes to Omaha, he sells that out. But you know, it's just politics, you know, opportunities. Got to respect Tim for continuing to fight with all the adversity by Nick. I agree. I triple agree with that. Matt, so funny to debate whether Butter or Man Down should fight Fundora. I mean, that's what we're here for, right? We have our opinions. Was it called an accidental cut? Yeah. It was not intentional, because they would have said it was intentional. And yeah, and I think Fundora would have got a point taken away. Or something. Like, if you hit someone like that, yeah. I mean, that would definitely get a point taken away. Antonio thoughts: boxing is corrupt. There's preference in the sport for certain race to have all the belts and accomplishments. Look, when it comes to boxing and business, there's always going to be some sort of racial and politics and stuff. But I don't really want to get into all that too much, because we all know it has happened. Does it happen all the time? Not necessarily, but you know, for the most part, there's champions in every race and every form and things like that. At the end of the day, the ring's the truth. You can protect someone for so long, but they gotta fight. And if you're good, you're good. And no best man steps out, right? So, but boxing is corrupt. We all know that. My boy Ben Thompson, the owner of FightHype, you can see right there. I wouldn't say Bud is frozen. Elms, he's got options. Shout out to my boy Elms real quick. He's got options. The question is, does he want to take them based on the money being offered? Yeah, and Terence does have a lot of options, you know? So it's not like he's frozen out. Like, he's not, all right? There's certain things that are happening around certain specific fighters, yes, but when you're the top dog, it's like you do have options. It's just, is your options what you want, and sometimes fans could agree that those aren't good options, and sometimes they say, no, we want you to fight that guy. What you talking about? So, but that's all opinion based again. Let's see. Nobody give a about Bud. I mean, 676 people in here, and they're talking about Bud and Spence. So unless that's all Spence fans and Fundora fans. So, but all right. Let's move to the co-main. All right, we can talk about the main event and bicker, like all that stuff. Like we'll get lost in the sauce. All right. Let's congratulate Pitbull Cruz for moving up 5 pounds and fighting a very heavy-handed puncher as Rolly Romero, right? So, as Rolly said, happy Easter, everyone, if you celebrate it. And I was thoroughly entertained. And I have to say, when you talk about heart, like the main event, that co-main had heart written all over it, right? Rolly gets rocked in the first round, and you're thinking, oh man, this is over, right? This is done, right? Nope. Second round comes, third round comes, fourth round comes, fifth round comes. Like the fight goes on, and you can tell Rolly's visibly hurt because of his body language, and it's hard to tell that Cruz is hurt because he has this stone cold face. But if you really watch that fight, Rolly was landing some hellacious, devastating shots. Like when I was at that fight, not saying that I was having Rolly winning the fight at that particular time, but you knew that Cruz had to go and kind of take these type of punches to get to him to deliver those type of punches. And it was exactly what we thought it was. It was a fight. They were throwing bombs, and Cruz came out clearly the more, I guess, tighter, maybe even a little bit more. He was a more experienced fighter, and he landed his shots consistently. And I think the two things we got to take away from this fight is that we know that Cruz has a chin now after fighting Tank and now Rolly and taking the shots. But people always just criticize Rolly, saying, "Oh, he don't have a chin." All right, you know, he took Tank's punch, and there's this leaked footage of when he was sparring someone, Jahan Ingram, the Mayweather gym, and even though he got rocked like in the first round, like he didn't go down. Like you had to beat him up, right? And that just shows like Rolly can take good shots, and it shows that Rolly was able to show his heart, and it also showed his growth. You know, you can see he was trying to move, he was trying to set up things. I think if he jabbed a lot more into that fight, he could have been able to set up some shots, but that pressure of Cruz constantly coming through, and maybe the more, obviously the more experienced fighter, and just the better man won. You know, there's no questions that Cruz was clearly the better man. And I think the whole card just showed clearly who was the better fighter that night. And Rolly said it best, man. He got big balls. And I know that I got a lot of text messages from people that said, hey, you should have took the Ryan Garcia fight. And, you know, I'm slightly torn because, yeah, maybe he should have. But if Ryan doesn't beat Devin Haney, then that fight's still there, right? So you still have that as a fight. You know, it's probably not as big, right? Because it doesn't have a title on the line and things like that if they face each other. But Rolly will still be around. Rolly will still be entertaining. And as much as people booed him there, you know, you gotta have that nemesis, that, well, he calls himself anti-hero. And if you liked Rolly or you don't, if you like Cruz, you were entertained, right? You were glued to that fight. Like, and that's the premise of this. The main event delivered, the co-main event delivered, right? Someone definitely got knocked out. There was a lot of drama and punches being thrown. And congratulations to Pitbull Cruz, you know. There's a lot of new champions, you know. Tim was a champion, but now Fundora was able to experience it, which is cool. Rolly was a champion, now Pitbull got to experience it. So it's cool that like everyone's getting to at least become a champion around these type of events. And here, what do I got? Let me move this. There we go. More appropriate. And let's get this. There we go. you see the sexy graphics, right? Like we leveling up. Like this, you know, I got all this arsenal. I'm not even using it. But let's see. All right. I definitely want to make sure I didn't miss any super chats. And let's see. Let me scroll up. So, all right. So, my man Des, 22. We even shouldn't be talking about Spence getting a title shot over the guy that beat his ass. I want to be biased, but yeah, I would prefer Crawford. I prefer Crawford to be fighting Fundora. I totally agree with that. And I'm in the same field as you, 1000%. Where is it? Junior N, $5 super chat. Appreciate. Look, you guys don't have to super chat. Like honestly, we're just in here just chatting, just talking boxing. So, and if I do kind of miss it just a little bit, you know, I'm working with I got the 3 screens and the cameras and all the gadgets. So this is gonna get a little bit smoother. So I'm gonna read it in real time. So, Junior N. Paco loves Crawford and Tim Tszyu, so next week he can just make the fight when he strips Fundora for the vacated WBO belt. I mean, look, he might give Tim the opportunity to fight for the vacant title, and maybe we might get that. Maybe he won't, because when you come off of a loss as a reigning defending champion, you know, they kind of sometimes bump you down. And let's see. Let me go to the boxing rankings. Well, who's in the boxing rankings? We're going to look into the... But I appreciate you, Junior, as well. Like I said, you guys don't have to do super chats. Like, we do this for a living. We're just in here, just chatting. You know, we're trying to create consistency, getting you guys involved. You know, maybe you guys want a show every day, a morning show, a night show. Like, if you guys want to just jump on, maybe we do a call-in. Maybe we can play some video games. I don't know, maybe we can get the champs, you know, like play some games with y'all. I'm a big gamer, so we can maybe do something like that. If you guys got any ideas, maybe we can set up like a Call of Duty if you're into that, or a fighting game. Get Street Fighter, fight the champ virtually, you know, maybe the boxing games. All right, but let me see, boxing rankings. And let me skim through real quick, make sure I ain't got no more super chats that all right, cool. All right, Bud will fight clears the shields, he's a duck. Yo, Angry Casual, man, you funny, man. You a funny dude. Please don't ever leave the chat, man. You got some wild takes. Sad for Tim, that was his fight. It really kind of was his fight, but you know what? Everyone has the same opportunity, right? And I'm not saying that it's his fault the cut happened, because you can't really fault anyone, but he came in the ring and he wasn't bleeding, and Fundora did not intentionally elbow him, so that's just boxing's like almost 99% skill, maybe less skill, but there's luck. There's at least 1% luck. You have to say there's 1% luck. But all right, let's do this. Let's go 154. I'm gonna zoom in. All right. So this is the WBO rankings right here. All right, on the right side. All right. So you see right here. So everyone peep this out. Tim Tszyu, which is now Fundora. Number 1 is Josh Kelly. Number 2 is Erickson Lubin. 3 is Xander Zayas. All right, so if there is some vacancy for that title, it's probably going to be one of these 3 guys. If it's not Tim, if they vacate it and he fights for it or something, and maybe let's say they vacate the belt, and then Crawford doesn't like the opponent, then maybe that's not the fight he wants, right? So, yeah, all right. So, yeah, shout out to Monica. Right? Yo, you guys definitely running up the chat, so I appreciate it. And you know what? Let's get back to the chat, because I know that you guys are not just here to just discuss boxing. You guys are also here to engage. So, all right, Anthony Rodriguez. I like Rolly. And here's the thing: a lot of people don't understand. Rolly is such a good person outside of the antics, and I know that you guys won't ever experience this, and I did this really cool interview with him, and if you haven't seen it, no big deal. It's not saying like I'm forcing this down your throat. It's all opinion based, right? You might still be like, I don't like this dude, but if you get a chance, check this interview out
on Goodall, FightHype.com. I'm here with...
All right, this one right here. Yes. if you Google and get some downtime, right? It's pretty long. It's like 21 minutes. I know time's precious, and I appreciate you guys rocking with your boy. Rolly Romero's serious concern on Ryan Garcia meltdown. Sends heart. If you take the time to, this might give you a different perspective, and you know, like this was a genuine conversation I had with him. There's no antics or planned narrative. Like this is a genuine side that I believe that this is who he is, and you know, I wish them, me and my boy Sean reached out to him, and can't say I have a relationship with Pitbull Cruz, you know, because I don't. But congratulations to Pitbull. But we definitely reached out to Rolly, and Rolly's Rolly, man. He's, you know, he's a competitor, and he's a strong individual, and he feels very blessed. So he appreciated. This is pretty much the mess. He appreciated you guys watching him. So even if you didn't like Rolly or you were rooting against him, he appreciated you guys watching him. So you know, so that's really what he wanted you guys to know. So he's very thankful and blessed. So all right. Rolly will retire and become an action movie star. That would be dope. I could see that. Like a what's that Sylvester Stallone movie? Was it Sylvester Stallone? Expendables. Can you picture Rolly in Expendables? I could see that. I could see Rolly in Expendables. Let me cut that down. So, let's go back to the chat. Pitbull versus Lomachenko. I don't know what. I can't even picture that fight right now. How it would go. That would be crazy. But it's not a draw even after beating Spence, and that's sad. I mean, we don't know that. We don't know if he's a draw. I mean, we don't know if he's not a draw or a draw. Like, he just beat Spence. We don't have any information to show that. So, time will tell. Who's Bud ducking? Please don't say Boots or Spence. Ducking is such a overly like misused word. Like, you can say that they look for the better options, I guess. I don't know. Like, it sounds cliche. Fighters don't duck. You know, they look for what works for them. You know, if you got an opportunity to fight a guy who's equally the same as your mandatory, right? But that one guy makes $10 million more, you fight that guy. If there's a guy who's tougher than your mandatory, but the tougher guy offers you $10 million more, you fight the tougher guy. If the easier guy offers you $10 million more than the tougher guy, then you fight the easier guy, right? Like, so it's everyone's situations are different, right? So not everyone is in the situation where the low risk, low reward guy is present and all. You know, it's maybe there's the higher risk guy for more money, and then you can say that's a cash out, right? So you know, this ducking is overly used. Red, Ron is the best half Asian reporter in the business. I appreciate it. The fact that you know I'm half Asian is what's up. I don't even really know if there's a lot of half Asians in boxing, you know. So, but I appreciate you recognize that, Red, my guy. Bud is the WBO and WBC mandatory for the 154 titles. Yes, sir. Bud can sell fights, blue belt. And the whole idea that they're saying like Bud can't sell is like he sells a lot better than 99% of the other fighters, right? So it's just I get like you're comparing like maybe Canelo, like he's, you know, the cash cow, and you know obviously when Tank fought Ryan, you know, but when you throw out the word that he can't sell, sometimes you need the right dance partner, right? So he clearly sells better than a lot of other fighters. So, you know, but I get what you're trying to say. You know, it's just, you know, we're trying to ground these things a little bit and just kind of put it in better perspective. But he's definitely gained more attention now after Spence. So, Pitbull versus Matias. Okay, all right. This is. Let's get back to the co-main while I'm reading the chat. All right, and I want to make sure that I'm not missing any super chats. All right. Let's go right here. What do you guys think about Pitbull versus Matias? All right. Where is it?
In our co-main event, what a fight it was. Cruz, I've said time and time again, even darme esta gran oportunidad y aprovecharla.
Very glad to be a brand new world champion.
So these are his first words.
A new world champion at 140.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to open things up to questions to the media. So please raise your hand. Be patient with us. We have one mic, so raise your hand, and we will try to get to all of your questions. So I believe we already have someone with the mic, so go ahead and ask away.
Hey, Pitbull, how are you? This is Najee from Sagato. I'm here. Congratulations, first of all. A big win, very exciting style. Now that you're at 140, fans have already been clamoring on Twitter about a potential fight with Subriel Matias. I wanted to know what you think about a fight with him.
¿Qué te parecería una pelea contra Subriel Matías? Porque se está rumoreando que quizás se podría ser un buen oponente para vos.
Como lo he dicho, yo no me cierro a pelear con nadie siempre y cuando lleguen a buenos términos entre empresas. Y bueno, en primer punto que su empresa y mi empresa lleguen a un gran acuerdo y yo veré con quién sea.
Bring anybody on. I'm willing, like I've always said, I'm willing to fight anybody as long as both parties come to an agreement. If his side comes to an agreement with my side and everything works out, then I have no problem fighting with him or anyone else.
All right. What do you guys think about that? All right. What do you guys think about Pitbull Cruz and Subriel Matias? Mexican versus Puerto Rico, unification fight, barn burner, right? Barn burner. And who do you guys have winning in that fight? Will Jake Paul ever fight an active boxer in his weight class? Would you consider Tommy Fury an active boxer in his weight class? I mean, technically, he did. You know? Let's see. His real. Alright. Benavidez, that guy seems like hitting, haha. Respectfully, that's how it should be. Barroso's gonna mangle Pitbull's legs. Watch. Yo, if Barroso gets the Pitbull fight and he stops Pitbull, I don't even know what to say. Like, I don't know what to say about that. This is crazy. I wouldn't even expect that, but he can punch. So, Subriel punishes Pitbull. Okay, I can see that. I would probably favor Matias. You know, high risk, low reward for Cruz to fight Matias. Who was that Silver Fox interviewing them after the Fox? You're talking about Claudio Trejos. She's been around for a long time. She's one of the OGs of this. One of the OGs. Let's see. Bud can see the shit out of the fight if I bought it. He's the reason I even had the ESPN app when he was with Bob. So Barber Talk 101. You're totally all about Terence Crawford. I'm with that. Rolly versus Cambosis. All right. If the chat is about Spence and Bud, let it be about these guys. You're speaking on things we don't want to hear. Oh, well, hey, we did. You can rewind back, Czar. We got to talk about everything that we want to talk about. And Rolly Romero, Issa Cruz is one of the ones we're talking about. Barroso is a journeyman who is not supposed to win. We get those journeyman fights, right? But let it happen. Let it happen, right? Who want to see... I don't want to see it. I'm not going to lie. I would not want to see Barroso versus Pitbull Cruz. But outside of it, we'll skim through this part. Shout out to Rolly. Shout out to Pitbull Cruz. We got the new 140 champion. And so at that point, to highlight the whole Amazon Prime card, right? From top to bottom, we had Laura, who did his thing. He knocked out Michael Zarafa. We had Martinez, who had a very exciting fight. Elijah Garcia wasn't able to fight on the card against Kyron Davis. But I know you all saw that Cormel Moten fight. All right? So what do you guys think? 3-0 now. He fought a tough 7-0, two-time national champion. The kid is very exciting. The kid that he fought, Anthony Cuba, was being trained by Leo Santa Cruz. And the chin that kid had, I mean, they were both throwing bombs. So, what did you guys think about Corman Moten? I thought Corman Moten was a very exciting fight. I thought the whole card was great, and a little insight. You know, some of the people, you know, someone who's very close, working with the card. You know, by the sounds of it, it sounded like the pay-per-view actually did a lot better than anticipated, and that it was actually really not just exciting fight to watch, but it performed, you know, at good levels, you know, to them. So what that means, like, it did good, and that's good for boxing. That was good for them, and you know, it's nice to see a card that reflects excitement, entertainment, and it just didn't perform poorly, right? So, so that's just coming from some of the people I know that work very close to the, you know, around that specific card. So, I think everyone who watched it, tuned in, if you bought it or, you know, did the other thing, you had a great time. So, audio's low? Audio's too low? How about this? Just a little bit better? Let's see. And if there's any like audio or things like that that kind of seem a little, just let me know. I'm reading the chat. All right, but let's see. It was a crazy card. Dude, Tim Tszyu won that decision though, not counting the blood. Tim Tszyu landed more power shots by many, and Fundora just stuck with the jab, but the blood looked bad. I mean, it was close, Brawley 7, but I definitely thought that Fundora edged it out, but I wouldn't be mad at a rematch. We definitely need that rematch. I think Fundora would lose the rematch. She lucked up. Would I give Tim, if they fought again, the favorite? I'll think about that. Tim Tszyu got his head cracked and butt kicked. No excuse. I mean, I wouldn't say butt kick, but yeah. I think Bud is knocking out Boots. Boots hasn't faced a real fighter. I mean, by far, that would be Boots' toughest opponent, and it wouldn't be an easy fight. So I agree, Broly 7. I mean, that's, you know, when you call out the #1 pound for pound guy, and I know that when you have like the boogeyman moniker, right, and you can be that guy, right, low risk, low reward, and everything that they say that you are, you is. But when you go for the #1 guy, you know, you're also kind of like walking into a lion's den. So personally, that's a fight that I would like to see, but I just don't think it would happen. So, but I agree, Bud would be Boots' toughest fight by far. Spence didn't sound or look good. This dude needs to heal and get strong. Hopefully, you know. I mean, he looked pretty good at the event. Like, he was still sounding like Spence. He was laughing with the fans. He was having a good time. He was taking pictures. He even did this little funny moment where, what you call it? Let me close that. When I asked him what happens if he faces Fundora, he comes over and he does like a sleeping face, like he'll put him to sleep. So he's in good spirits, man. He had a good rest. So I think he's good. Buster Douglas was a journeyman, and look what he did to Mike Tyson. Have some respect for these fighters. Calling them bums or nobodies in the sport. Anyone with 2 hands can do the unthinkable. I say it all the time, man. I agree with you, Antonio. Stranger things have happened in boxing, and all the stuff that we've seen so far hasn't been anything stranger than anything that's happened in the past. Anything can happen. You know, you get in the ring, 2 hands, you get into the scale at the same weight, yada yada. I mean, you signed the contract, means you agree to everything. It's fair game. So anyone could be anybody. So that's why we get these major upsets. And when you think about it, hindsight, were they upsets or we just didn't see the signs, right? We didn't, you know, study the matchup, the style match, or the, you know, so anyone could be anybody. Fundora finally got a jab. He got pillow hands though. Yo, if you watch the Brian Mendoza fight, he was attempting to use the jab in that fight too. But this was his execution. Like, you know, he was getting busy with that jab. So, I can't really say he got pillow hands because the thing is like, his punches don't look like they have steam, but then you watch the Lubin fight and his face is all, so you can't say he doesn't have. He has pillow hands. Maybe he doesn't have like that one hitter quitter. He has like an accumulative kind of power, like a Sabril Matias kind of thing. I don't know if Fundora loses the rematch. See, that's why I don't know who wins the rematch. Like, I gotta ponder on it. You know, I know the cut did affect him a lot, but when you go in a rematch, does it make you better? Like, does the loser get the better opportunity because he didn't have the adversity, or did the winner get the confidence? You know, they always say a champion comes in and they're a better version of themselves. So maybe Fundora comes like, okay, I knew I needed to work on. I needed to stick the jab and and move like so. You never know. It's all about adjustments really in a rematch. Ben did point out Jim Lampley insinuated Fundora cheated and landed an illegal elbow on purpose. Did you guys see that interview with my boy Sean? Jim Lampley did say this. Did you feel that Fundora cheated, guys, or you thought Tim lunged and caught an elbow? What do you guys think?
The place where the got treated to another good fight, how the fight seemed to change on that cut. How much do you gauge that really changed the tempo of the fight and what was
changed everything?
Yeah.
I mean, the whole event, the whole evening with regard to those two fighters is about the cut. And I don't know if I've ever seen exactly that circumstance. The place where the cut takes place is the highest concentration of veins in the body. At the top of your skull, more blood comes to meet in a crossroads on the top of your skull than anywhere else in your body. So when he happened to cut him there with an elbow butt, he tapped into the central blood flow of Tszyu, and there was no way that blood was ever going to be stopped or even slowed down for a long time. And it's just a highly unusual circumstance. It's not fair. Life is unfair. That was not fair competition. That was unfair competition because one guy fouled the other with an elbow on the top of the head and cut him open in such a way that the blood flow was not going to be stopped.
If you had to gauge, Jim, how much of it was Fundora did what he did, he came on strong and won, and how much of it was the outcome was altered by the cut?
Outcome is altered. If the outcome is not altered by the cut, I don't think Fundora is ever in the position to win those rounds the way he did because Tszyu would have tactical command and mastery. He's a better boxer. And, I'm not going to downgrade Fundora. He did what he had to do under the circumstances. All credit to him. I might have a fun night-long argument with a judge sometime about giving all those rounds to him. But at the end of the day, the fight was about the cut. It presented Tszyu with what became an insurmountable problem. And if the cut had been anywhere else on the body, it wouldn't have been the same thing. It was because it was right there on the top of the skull, which is where all the blood flow concentrates.
I believe you called the fight when Tszyu lost to Vince Phillips.
I did.
Do you think his son will have similar success after this setback the way his father did? Or
there was nothing different about Costa after the Vince Phillips shot other than that he had a loss on his record. I don't think there'll be anything different about Tim Tszyu as the result of tonight other than that he has a loss on his record. So tonight he's just like his dad, except that his dad got hit with a clean, perfect, legitimate right-hand shot. Tim Tszyu got hit with an elbow on the top of the head. It's not a boxing move.
Any surprise, Jim, that he wasn't particularly vocal about a rematch? He called out Spence and Crawford despite the loss. And is there anything?
Why would he want to fight a 6'5" guy again? In envisioning all the problems that could arise from fighting against a gangly 6'5", 154-pound fighter. It's an odd physical specimen. But surely the possibility he didn't conjure was, at a given moment, he'll bring his elbow down on the top of my skull, and I'll bleed so much from that point forward that judges wind up giving him rounds.
Jim, how are you feeling? That first fight back, Canelo-Charlo, that was like a welcome back, but now you're back in the swing of things. How are you feeling after?
Well, after tonight, I know I'm back because we had a bizarre event. We'll have a controversy discussion, all the things that normally are a part of my ongoing life in boxing. So yeah, it's great to be back in the mix, and I look forward to running into some people who disagree with what I said.
And just before I let you go, looking ahead to things, Haney and Garcia.
All right, so I'll pause right there because that's the end of that segment right there. But what did you guys think? Did you guys think that Jim Lampley is correct, that it was intentional? Or did you feel like it was accidental, right? And from that, if they fought again, who would win? So while you guys are giving your guys' opinion, I'll just state mine really quick, is I really think that it was accidental. I don't think anything was intentional about it. I think that when you fight someone that big and you have to get in, you're going to have to maybe lunge or get caught lunging in. And I think he lunged into, from the replay, looked like into his elbow, right? It didn't look like he intentionally threw it down. But clearly the blood affected him. And the more I kind of think about it is like, because rematches are tricky, right? Like, I picked Tim Tszyu to win the fight, so I'm wrong. I didn't. Fundora won the fight fair and square. Like, an accidental headbutt, an accidental elbow to the head is accidental. You can't predict those things, and you can't discredit anyone winning. But you can give credit for Tim for continuing to fight, and he almost won the fight with blood in his face and a jab in his face and 12-week notice on a tall guy and lanky. But at the same time, Fundora had a 12-week notice who had to make the adjustment to a guy who arguably is the best guy. And, you know, either or, I don't think Jim's right. And like he said, debating or giving an opinion, I don't think Jim's right. I don't think that was intentional. I thought it was accidental, and I'm sure... Let me see what the chat says. I'm guessing you guys probably all agree, because I was at the fight and I only got to see the replay on the Jumbotron. So you guys had a clear vision of it. Jim's talking like Fundora hit Tim with the elbow when it was Tim that went forward. I agree. Red says, I don't know anymore. School of Skill. Tszyu already on the short side and he's bending down. Yeah. If he doesn't lower his head, guess where the gash ends up? Genius. Boxing's ruined by these promoters who just want to fill their pockets. I mean, boxing's boxing, you know? There's always something that we can complain about, but we still watch it, right? We're the abused fans that no matter how much they do stuff that we don't like, we'll still watch it. We still love the sport. If we agree with it or not, we'll still watch it. But last night was a great night of fights, and I can't complain. That was perfect. Jim is wrong. I agree with you, Jay Washington. Next time, pay for quality. Cut, man. Everyone kept talking about the corner was kind of like wonky. Like, I didn't get to hear like from the telecast because I wasn't there. Can any you guys like knew what they were saying, or because it's really hard to stop a cut like that, and you know that was an ugly cut. Not even Spence fans think he deserves it. Spence is trying to get publicity. Trying to get a fight, man. I can't knock him for wanting to get that Fundora fight. Let's see. Next time, pay for a quality cut, man. Not even Spence fans think he deserves it. Spence just trying to get publicity. Okay. Kevin Knight, raised elbow lowering, head accident, rematch. I do agree. Like, we have a poll, and it looks like the poll visibly shows. If it's not Terence Crawford, we want Tim Tszyu rematch. And Errol Spence is like at the bottom of the poll. So I agree that a rematch is ideal. You know, I would probably maybe say run the rematch and then Crawford gets the winner in a perfect world, right? To right is wrong. So I do agree a rematch should warrant itself out just because of that. No, we don't need one. What would it have cost them? $5,000. No cut man and boxers ever prepared for a giant gash on the head of the elbow. You really are a genius. I can't say no cut man because Stitch Duran is the truth. Okay. What's my other guy who does? Let's see. Hand wraps. Mike Basil. Yeah, that's what it is. Mike Basil is good. Tszyu-Fundora. Like, I can't say no cutman in boxers ever prepared. Maybe a cutman who's never experienced that is never prepared. Once you have some of the OGs that have really done it, you know, like them, they're prepared, but you're still never prepared for a cut. So, Cool Nerds clothing, I'm like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, but I get what you're saying. Like, you just can't prepare for a situation that, you know, it's a cut, you know, but it was a nasty cut. And shit happens, right? Come on, Jim, this is an HBO Slim. Tim ducked into elbow. Fundora didn't jump on top of the ropes with the flying elbow. Better be almost bled to death and still knocked out Marcus Brown. No excuses. Angry casual fan. You got 2 hands. You came in the ring not bleeding, you know, and he made it happen, so. Greg, attention span, 12 days. You people don't get it. Terence is not with PBC, so until then, he won't get a big fights. That effing simple. Sometimes it's who you're with, right? Sometimes it's who you're with and what you do and what you align yourself. And sometimes that's the reason why you get certain fights. So, parlay, God, I agree. Politics and promotional sides do sometimes, if not all the time, determine who you fight and who you get. Yeah, who needs eyes? The angry casual. Okay. School of skills, 5K to 10K for a veteran cutman, SMH. That is a lot of money now, right? But it seems like consistent, like no one thinks that was intentional, right? So everyone agrees that Jim is like, you know, like I'm cutting Jim a little slack, you know, and I'm not using it as an excuse. You know, he's a little older guy. Maybe he didn't have the best seats, you know. I mean, like I was sitting in the same area with Jim. My boy Sean, who does interviews with FightHype, he was sitting there too. So like, we don't get the opportunity to really have a nice sit down space and hear the commentary. You know, we do have the Jumbotron. So, but it really seemed like nobody but Jim thought that was intentional. So it might just be Jim, and you know, respect to Jim. You know, he's an OG in the game, but don't agree with you, champ. I don't agree with you. He's not ready for Crawford. He needs Spence. And that's what I was thinking, like Spence would be a better fight to get him ready for Crawford, you know, 1,000%. Tszyu-Fundora just said that can never be stopped. You know, I heard someone say like Tszyu-Fundora was talking about. I just didn't know. I don't know if there's an interview or something that he did. So, right, this is me believing in Stitch. Like that's my guy. Like he's a FightHype. Like him and Ben, the owner of FightHype, they go back. So you know, I'm just showing my little support. You know, and same with Mike Basil. Like those guys are really cool. But Tszyu-Fundora just said that can never be stopped. Cool Nerds clothing. Nah, Stitch does more than boxing. He's not just a boxing cut man. That's true. He's a pretty virtuoso kind of guy in the sport. Globs of Vaseline until the ref says something. Tim rematch. I agree. Tim rematch needs to happen. Gang stalking simulation. Cool Nerds clothing. Sad but true. Bud's not PBC, so Spence will end up getting the fight. I mean, Ellerby said it. Samson Lukowitz says that's the fight he wants. Errol Spence is in the ring, right? Like he's there, you know. So the safe bet seemed like Spence will get the Fundora fight, and Crawford's going through the organization to make the fight happen. But as you can see, sometimes when you go to the organization, that stuff sometimes doesn't matter. That doesn't make the fights. Red, Tim should just grow his hair out and prevent some shit like that ever happening again. But then again, there's no guarantee if otherwise. Can never guarantee anything in boxing, you know? Sometimes when you think about boxing, some of the best fighters, like resume and the career Hall of Famers, not just the fact that they were the best fighters, but maybe they were some of the luckiest fighters too. And I'm not discrediting them, but like think about it. Some of the best fighters on planet Earth, how many times were they in a situation that Tim Tszyu was in? And maybe that's no fault of their own because they prevented that from happening, right? By maybe defeating their fighter comfortably or dominating it. But, you know, there's luck involved in boxing across the board. So, not discrediting anything skills and any hard work, right? But it might be 99.9% of all that and 0.1% of luck. So, and Tim was unlucky by that head cut, but he still had a fight. So, Fundora will never be undisputed if the WBO is concerned. Can't be undisputed without all the belts, right? Right? So, is it about money? Is it about legacy, or both? Rusty. Stitch Duran said no contest should have been ruled and that cut couldn't have been stopped. It's the worst possible cut in boxing. I have heard stuff about, like, I'm not going to act like I'm a cut man specialist, but I kind of heard, like, cuts up here can be one of the worst ones. So, maybe if I run across Stitch Duran, I can do an interview and ask him a little bit more about that and kind of break down some of that insight, because he lives out here where I'm at. So I'm just upset the loser got a shot at 2 world titles, and we have another loser walking in the ring about to get a chance at those titles as well. Make it make sense. Fight or flight boxing, the way it makes sense is one fighter is aligned to the promoter of the other fighter. Maybe the other fighter, like one, Terence is going to want the fight, right? And if he wants the fight, how does he go about it? Does he work with PBC? Does he sign with PBC? Does he go to the organization? Does Fundora keep his belt? Does Fundora's promoter tell him, don't keep the belt? Right? So all that stuff has to happen out. But really, it just comes down to an alignment, right? How many times have you heard people say you're on the wrong side of the street, you're not with this promoter, yada yada, in-house fight? So stuff like that, that's how it happens. So, but I'm sure there's interviews out there, like if I haven't had a chance and people is hitting up, you know, Stitch, maybe there's something I can find and can recap on it. But yeah, I'm with you. I'd rather see Bud versus Fundora in a perfect world, but you know, let me put the. Okay, there we go. Young dude's messing up his career up. Ain't a casual fan, I agree, but could do it for real. Mexicans own boxing. Let me upset some people. Chucky. Every race owns boxing, man. You know, there's been a champion in every single, like all of it. So, but Mexicans did last night. They did their thing. So, you're right. I mean, look, we all know Mexicans can fight. It's not even that a shocking thing, right? You know, of course, every race can fight. So, Zordo's a bad dude. LOL. He sucks. I didn't even see the Zordo fight. I know I have it at the up here. You know, I was busy at the fight, but I heard Zordo won. So I don't know if he looked really good or not. I'll have to take some time and find out. Bud beat the big brother Benavidez. The little brother should be easy work. Oh man, you want that? I don't want that Terence Crawford, David Benavidez fight. I know Floyd said, I don't want that fight. I think David's too big. You know, and that's not. Maybe Terence is like, nah, man, easy work, right? Because Terence do be sparring some big dudes, so I'm not. But I don't know, dude. Sometimes you just gotta be like, let David fight better be if you don't get Canelo, right? And leave it at that. The better be Bivol winner. I mean, Tim Tszyu was bigger, in my opinion. Fundora has the Mexican fans, and that's huge. Eddie Hearn. No, let's see. Fundora's ruined his career by dropping a belt. Fundora and his sister, that's amazing itself. First brother and sister, champion at the same time. I agree. So, alright. Oh, Mill got the interview? I'll peep it out. Yeah, I'll check it out, Coda, so I can see what he said. The little brother is way too big for Crawford. Canelo's ducking him. Why are we doing this David Benavidez Crawford talk? Yeah, no, we good. School of skills. Rolly sucks. I don't know, man. It's easy to say that, you know, outside, but when you got a world champion chilling at your house, you got, you know what I mean? But Pitbull did his thing. You know? And Rolly showed out, so he came out and tried to do his thing. So you gotta show you gotta show Rolly some love, man. I know you watched the Tank fight, you watched the Cruz fight, so you were entertained either or. Fundora needs to go to Mel, isolate himself with Canelo and Pitbull. I think you said Pitbull, right? Worst cuts are when Tim got because of the blood vessels and blood concentration around the area. In my opinion, if not for the cut, Tim would have won. Fundora could barely beat a blind man. I picked Tim to win the fight. Once Tim got the cut, I immediately knew. Like, you can see it. The first 2 rounds, like, Tim, like, doing his thing. And then, surely, but, you know, over time, things were changing and the momentum shifting. You see it happening, right? So, I agree. The cut definitely affected him. And we really don't know how much it affected him. Like, we can say visibly affected him, like he couldn't see, but what if he was lightheaded? What if he was dizzy? And Tim didn't make any excuses. Like, he didn't really go like, oh, this and that. Like, he just shrugged it off, and that's about it. Rolly was never ready for the top level with less than 20 pro fights. But think about that. He started fighting at, 17? He came from judo, which is hard to transition from another sport. He was able to beat the guys that he faced. And I think there was one controversial fight, prior to fighting Tank. He was actually competitively boxing Tank until he lost. Barroso was a fight which many people, listen, this is what I don't understand about the Barroso-Rolly thing. And it's not me wearing the cape about the, Rolly and because, obviously I'm in a defense state of speaking highly of all his accomplishments. It's like, yes, Rolly did go down by Barroso, and then Barroso was doing his thing, and Rolly did catch him, right? But at the same time, we don't know what had happened over time, if Barroso was going to recover or if Rolly was eventually going to get him out because Barroso was visibly hurt. But you can't just say, okay, if you didn't like the stoppage, Barroso should have won, should have got the belt. Like, Barroso wasn't in the state of, that wasn't the last round, right? I understand if this was the last round, 10 seconds, Julio Cesar Chavez, Medrick Taylor, right? And oh, if you let it 10 more seconds, you wouldn't win the fight. No, there was many rounds over, so you couldn't say Barroso should have been the world champion, all right? There was many rounds left. So was he potentially winning the fight and the momentum was going his direction? Yeah, but because of that stoppage and you didn't like the stoppage doesn't mean Barroso was going to win the fight. You know what I mean? That's all. But I just went on a whole tangent. I read something like that. But either or, Barroso sparked out O'Hara Davis. So you guys gotta give Rolly some props, man. This man, less than 20 fights, fighting Pitbull, right? Many people felt Pitbull beat Tank, right? So, and he went to fight him. So either or, the right man won the fight. So it's not even that. It's not that much of a debate. I made some change on the Pitbull fight last night. Yeah. The people who made some money was the people who put some money on Fundora, right? Did anyone put money on Fundora? Fundora was the real money maker. That was the real money making fight, right? Let's see. Errol Spence Jr. is not ranked at 154. He can't fight for a title. I mean, we've seen stranger things happen in boxing, and there's a thing called voluntary defenses, right? So yes, he can fight for a title, how did Pitbull fight for Rolly? Right? Rolly's belt. Wasn't ranked at 140, So you can fight for a title if you're not ranked or in that weight class. That stuff happens all the time. Jamel Charlo just tried to fight Canelo for his 168 titles, All right, let's see it. Super chat. Watch for the hook. Thanks for the $5. Nobody cried about Bud flipping a coin to see who can come out first when he was the clear B-side in the EJ fight. It's EJ's turn to play dirty. Get over it. I mean, look, EJ was part of the negotiations and he accepted the coin flip. Fair game. Who got the flip first? You gotta remember, you get what you negotiate, right? And you got to give props to both those guys because they came to terms to making the fight. And if one had to like dramatically do one more, or if they both were like very easy and it was smooth sailing, like you signed it. It's done, right? You get what you negotiate, and Terence got what he negotiated. There was a coin flip in there, but a little bit of what you're saying, watch for the hook. If he signed Al Heyman and he negotiated like certain X, Y, and Z, and he gets certain preferential treatment over a guy who's not quote unquote signed, fair game. You get what you negotiate, right? So maybe that's something that Spence was able to negotiate with or without that WBO belt, and we'll see how it happens next week, right? So, you think Tim Tszyu regrets not doing a no contest? You know, we didn't really get too much time to ask. You know, and maybe that's a good question to really think. Like, if Tim Tszyu regrets not doing a no contest, I think the fighter, like he says, he's a throwback fighter, because he knew what it was, right? There was a cut. It was the third round. He got it at the end of the second. He knew what it was. And he had one more round to ponder, right? Like, you know, this third round ain't it. Like, this tall dude's popped me in the face. I'm bleeding. Like, I don't think he regrets it, because I think he genuinely believed he could have won the fight. And he made that decision. And I think he's proud, like, you know, from the circumstances that he was in. You know, maybe his team and management might regret it, you know, hindsight knowing that they lost the fight, but maybe they just generally thought that he was going to win the fight because he was really putting it on Fundora in the first two rounds. Like, I thought it was a short night. Like, I was packing my backpack and getting all my stuff together for the night. Like, all right, early main event, and then the cut happened. So you might have not thought that. And by the end of it, he really shouldn't have nothing to feel bad about, you know. Yes, he's out of that position of maybe fighting Spence or Crawford, and that's probably the part that sucks. But as a fighter, I don't think he regrets it. I think he has a lot to reflect on how he can fight in those type of positions, right? That's an experience thing that most people. It's just you don't know what you're gonna do in those situations. So I don't know. Maybe we'll ask him when we get an opportunity to talk to him. I'll make sure conscious gains. I'll keep that in the arsenal. Kevin Knight, BS, Fundora has a voluntary, more than likely. Yeah, Fundora surprised me. He surprised everyone, I think. I don't think anyone, even if you did, like, you're still impressed, right? There's some levels of like, yeah, Fundora did his thing. Rolly gonna enforce the rematch clause. Let's go. I don't think it's a rematch clause. Paco said Crawford versus Fundora next. He did. You see. Let's see. All right. How in the F is the #1 boxer in the B side in any situation? Happens all the time, you know. I think Floyd Mayweather was like pound for pound when he fought Arturo Gatti. He was the B side in that. It just happens. Boxing is more than just being the best fighter, right? And Terence Crawford, in my opinion, was the best fighter pound for pound. And the shirt that I'm wearing right now, just for this show, literally Spence versus Crawford. You know? And pound for pound, best fighter is subjective, but, you know, I think we all can agree that Terence is arguably one of the best, if not the best. So it's just politics. That's just how it is. Just because you're the best fighter doesn't mean that you're the A side, right? People might think Terence Crawford's the best fighter in ranking over Canelo, but if Canelo fought Terence, it's probably going to say Canelo versus Crawford, right? Because the A side, business side, things like that. So, and that's a whole different type of business perspective, because it becomes the draw, the attraction, and kind of almost like an ego thing, right? So, school of skills, you still have to be ranked for the voluntary defense if it's for the title. That's not true. That's not true. There's so many people that jump up weight classes that aren't ranked in the title. Like Jamel Charlo was not ranked at 168 to fight Canelo Alvarez for his undisputed 4 titles. All right, he wasn't ranked in there, but he was able to fight for it. So it all that, you know, has to be right. That stuff can get manipulated. It's not that serious. And that's when we get all type of weird rules that exist. And Tim Tszyu sacrificed the whole sport on a new platform. Respect the war on my shield game. If anyone throws shade at Tim Tszyu, yeah, we don't think like we're not on the same boxing page. We're not the same, you know. Minnesota Mick, is Noonan Boy working with the Haney team? No, he's not working with the Haney team. If anything, he works with Cambosis, his squad and stuff like that. So he's big in the Cambosis. So that's where I would have to ask him like what his role in that camp or whatever. But no, it's Cambosis. But because Cambosis has a great relationship with Haney, then you kind of see like that's just really, it's just you know, support. If you the best, fight the best. I agree. Fundora was about to get Mendoza again. Yo, you know what? There was a moment I was thinking that in the fight, Jordan. It felt like it was very reminiscent. Like, I think it was mid-late rounds where it seemed like Fundora was kind of on a cruise control, and then I think a right hand came across. Yeah, I felt that was kind of the thing. He's the B-side when it comes to the pound for pound, peso for peso list, but not the pound for pound list we go by. I agree, Beige. Like, but that it don't work. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those like the real world. Like, if we could have it our way, like the Super Bowls, like the best fight the best, and this guy beat this guy, and that guy beat that guy on that side. So eventually, but you know, it don't work that way. So it's boxing. Timmy will get a belt again. It's actually prize fighting. You agree, right? You said it best. It's prize fighting. And you know, these guys, they lose and come back and win a belt. Like Fundora lost, right? But now he's unified. You know, guys win and lose belts. Sean Porter's lost the belt and got a belt back again. Became 2-time. Fighter become 3-time. Regis lost the belt, got a belt again. He lost the belt. He wants to be 3-time. So Lennox Lewis, Evander Holyfield, you know. So I think Tim can do it. You know, Fundora can fight whoever he wants until his mandatory is due. Well, his mandatory looks like it's due next week. Terence Crawford, it looks like School Skills. Looks like that's for the WBO, right? So Spence needs to make a fight with Tim. He needs to make a fight with Tim? Oh, I get what you're saying. Like the losers face each other and the winners. In a perfect world, it would make sense, right? But it might not. If Fundora, or it may. You never know. I just don't see why. What does Spence get out fighting Tim Tszyu off a loss? That's a tough fight for nothing. As in nothing, as in you're not gonna get the credit prior to Fundora beating him. So Fundora versus Lubin 2 should happen if Lubin gets the opportunity. Yeah, that was a great fight. I was at that fight too. That was a very horrific fight to be at. There was a bloodbath there too. Rusty, Tim Tszyu is a warrior. He'll go down on his shield no matter what his name. Ain't Jamel. Damn, throwing shots up. Mel. I think there were different situations, right? You know, but yeah, Tim had a better last showing than Mel did. Venom, his corner should be made the decision for him. That's what everyone's saying. His corner should have looked out for him, and I would have to hear what they say. Give me one quick. I'm gonna go to a quick intermission, y'all. I think I had something for the little one. right. Appreciate you guys. All right. So real talk though. Let me ask you guys some like input, all right? Because this is definitely the first Believe the Hype, all right? This is the first showing. Let me get Jim off. Jim just staring at you guys' soul like that. Like, too deep. All right. But like as a community, right? And I appreciate you guys rocking with me, right? You're like the consistent people that have been in here, and I know we're experimenting. Like, what my goal and FightHype and the many other people that are going to add to these type of shows is like, as a community, like, what do you guys want from us? Like, this is kind of like a feedback section, right? Do you like the layout? Do you like us breaking down the interviews, and do you like how everything looks? You know, I can tweak some stuff. Do you want like a call-in section? Do you want some sort of engagement? Obviously, we're gonna bring in interviews. I'm gonna bring in like some other co-hosts, and you know, and I have a lot of ideas. But do you want like a morning show? Would you like a nighttime show? Would you want like a show daily, a recap? You know, I'm all open for feedback. You know, because us hardcore boxing fans, you know, we don't really have too many places to talk, and just want to engage with you guys. So, you know, oh yes, we can do the whole debating Spence, Crawford, this guy's ducking who and all that. But you know, if you guys have any inputs, if you guys have any type of suggestions, like I'm an open book. We're open over here, right? There's no personal things we have to do it our way, you know. So if it's something that you guys have a great idea, please just let us know, and we'll be happy to implement that. Because this is going to be a whole new difference, right? A whole different way that we're going to take over and do this whole boxing thing with you guys. And we want you guys involved. We want you guys to be part of it. So that's what we're looking to do. So, but yeah, let me catch back with the chat. Let's see. Charlo's a joke. These guys cry about getting a belt and then they drop it. Facts, Rusty. Trust me, guys, he did. I don't care who Fundora fights. Terence but Crawford must stay busy and take a fight ASAP. There is a rematch clause. Who believes me? I don't know. I don't know if there's an immediate rematch clause. Where's the honor? Where's the thing about defending belts? I mean, school of skills, I agree. But at the end of the day, man, it's prize fighting. And you gotta go with your best opportunities. You know, in a perfect world, that's why we don't have so many undisputed champions. And even if we do, sometimes, is it opportunity that happens? Or is it like, you know, nobody's even talking to his ass. Let's see. Spence about to be WBC champion 154. Possibly. There's always that chance. Crawford is going to get his ass kicked by Wimby. Yo, there's like a UK fight going on right now, right? Yeah. I'll check that out later. Alright. You guys are all debating about this. Y'all should definitely stream more. Alright, appreciate it, Red. That's what we're definitely trying to do. And don't worry, I'm trying to convince my boy Sean to get his thing going. Junior, because he has two daddies. Oh, okay. Tim is far from finished. Tim versus Charlo next. You know what's so sad? Like, we were definitely supposed to get Tim versus Charlo, right? And that's one of those fights that we'll probably forget until later on we make a list of fights that never happened. Charlo versus Tim Tszyu was supposed to happen last year? I think last year, here in Vegas. And, you know, the injuries postponed it, and then another injury postponed it, and then Charlo went to Canelo, and Tim was going to fight Thurman and Fundora, so it's just a 154 kind of curse, right, dude? It's almost like reminiscent of like when Jamel was supposed to fight Jared Hurd, remember? And then all that weird stuff was going on where Jamel lost to Tony, then Hurd lost to J-Rock, and then J-Rock lost to Rosario, and then like 154 has always been this like mixture of upsets and changing, and it's just never consistent. So it looks like it just lives on right now at this point. So, and it's usually like on a PBC card too. That's crazy. Robert Garcia said he'll like to train Spence. I think Ronnie Shields would be the best fit. You know, that's one thing, guys, that unfortunately, like you see the footage right here. I was only able to see Spence from in the ring and walking on the side, and we didn't really get to actually interview him. And the big rumors and questions about if he's with Derek James or not, we never got to ask, unfortunately. I mean, we never got him to give a straightforward answer or deny it or ignore it or anything. So even though he was there, the question still looms: is he with Derek James? And if not, who is he trained with? And then is that going to change his style enough where maybe a Crawford rematch or even a Fundora fight would be like, would you need more time with that trainer? So, but I did see some stuff on Twitter, and I did see him like something on Twitter, so it does make me wonder. Yeah, that's what he thought. He lives in Australia under Cambosis for real. Minnesota Mick. Yeah, Cambosis is his guy, man, you know? So, Spence has 4 days, Jesus. Some toxic stuff, man. Charlie wants nothing to do with Tim. I mean, you can't say that when they signed the contract, right? They signed it, but I know there was injuries. You can have a conspiracy theory on that. Fundora will upset everyone at 154 by Tech. Hopefully I said that right. Fans gonna be angry when he beats Spence and Bud. If Fundora did that, I'm trying to think in history, who came in and upsetted the Apple card? It would be kind of like a Winky Wright kind of story, right? Winky Wright came and beat Shane Mosley and then beat Felix Trinidad, so that would be kind of something like that. Tim is the king of blank. Okay. Valdez versus Tim next. Oscar Valdez? Nah, he's too small, bro. School of Skills, Crawford moving up to 160 after he captures the WBO 154 belt. Well, the only fight that kind of makes sense is like Danny wants to fight Lara, right? And that Lara's a 160 pounder. So if Danny Garcia was able to beat Lara, then Crawford can go fight Danny for a 5th division, and that would be pretty dope. And I only bring up Danny because it's like they're closer to weight, right? Instead of fighting a true middleweight, you know. But Crawford did say he want to go to 168, fight Canelo, which is not a 168 pounder, but he's the man at 160. So I don't know. Just like yeah. Jenabek versus Crawford coming soon. I don't want to see it. Spence will finish Fundora. That might happen. Minnesota Mick, no one's beating Crawford at 154. No one. He will hold down 154 as long as he sees it through. School of Skills, too much at 54. Tim will eat him. All right. Crawford versus Triple G. Now you guys are just trolling me now. All right. Israel Madrimov has about 154. Noah, he does. But no one wants to fight him because he doesn't bring any. You know what I mean? That goes back to the whole business aspect. So, plus he signed with Matchroom, right? So they got to work together. And I can't even think of a time when PBC and Matchroom. Has PBC and Matchroom ever worked together? I know Mikey Garcia, Jesse Vargas, Danny Garcia, but they all like went to Matchroom. So, probably not. Madrimov is probably not going to fight those guys. Spence, some garbage. We want Killer Man. Damn, bro. Spence, some garbage. We want Crawford versus Fundora. I want Crawford and Fundora too, but why so harsh on Spence Fundora, man? You know? Nah, you don't like that? Jenabet, get ready. Buddy coming up there. Oh, no. I don't want to see it, school. I don't know if you're trolling me. I saw the post fight. He said he wanted Crawford, but Sebastian's manager said Spence. That's what I'm saying. I asked Samson Lukowitz, that was me, Brent, that was asking him those questions, and you can visibly see that he wanted Spence. No matter how many ways I spun the question in 5-6 different ways, Crawford was just never uttered, except for the fact that he says he won't fill up 90,000 in Texas, which makes sense because he's not from Texas, but maybe do in Omaha. I don't know, but I get it. It's different money making tactics that you can make, and I get it. Why is there even a conversation on Fundora? Nobody with any boxing IQ thought Fundora was beating Tszyu before the cut. So why are we talking about like Fundora's a real champ? Tim couldn't concede for 10 rounds. I agree, Ash, that I thought Tim was gonna win the fight, but the reason why we're talking about Fundora is because he won. He won the fight. Like, we can't talk about Tim because he didn't win the fight. So the unified 154 champion is looking at these two guys, and this guy went to the WBO, and this guy is well liked by the promotion company that he's with and the promoter that promotes Fundora. If Tim won the fight, then we'll be talking about Tim. So, but that's why, Ash. That's really why. Charlo's a runner and a buster. Fundora's ducking. Buddy leaving. Matchroom PBC did the AJ Ruiz fight. Ooh, for the fast one on me. Yeah. So that's why I mess with the chat, because the chat always keep you sharp. Yeah, AJ Ruiz. Yep. They did send Ruiz over. And when I'm thinking about it, Sergey Derevianchenko and Triple G was another one. You get me? That was when I was living in New York. I actually covered those two fights too, so yeah. You're right, and you're a casual fan. Sharp, man. You sharp. I get it. People are upset over the cut on Tim's head, but Fundora doesn't get credit for finishing with a broken nose. Both of them lost a lot of blood in the fight. Both dangerous. Tim's in a bad spot. So I'm trying to say, like, he won the fight. Like, yes, I get it. I'm openly on record saying that I thought Tim was going to win the fight. I'm wrong. It was a cut. Absolutely, it had to affect Tim's performance. But he lost. So, are we going to get a rematch right away? Probably not. And those type of things happen in the sport of boxing. And it's very unfortunate, right? You want a fair, clean knot, but both of these guys were bruised up, beat up, and they had to overcome some sort of adversity. And Tim, in many people's opinions, was worse, mine included. But he came in there with no cut. There was no actual intentional headbutt. Tim, unfortunately, lunged into a look like an accidental elbow, and he almost won the fight. So without the cut, do I think he would have won the fight? Probably. But because he didn't win the fight, we can't do all this hypotheticals. Hopefully Tim can get a rematch so that he can be able to right his wrong. But it's boxing. It happens. How many times do people not get the nod over? So, Spence never did 90,000 over. Hey, I'm going to get a microphone. I'm going to put it in front of you, Killer Man. And then I'm going to 3-way call Samson Lukowitz if I had his number. And be like, tell him. Yeah, Spence never did 90,000 anywhere. I agree. Yes, Fundora deserves all the credit. He did a great job on short notice. He did. They both did great. You gotta understand, just because one person had it, like you're like, okay, Fundora took the fight short notice. So did Tim. Anytime there's a last minute change, they both have to take the adjustment, because Tim wasn't training for someone like Fundora, just like how Fundora wasn't training for Tim. Fundora is this tall, lanky, southpaw, you know? So they both had to make the adjustment. You have to make it clear that Fundora wants to fight Bud. He said it. His handlers want Spence because of the money. I mean, right out of the horse's mouth. That's what Samson told me. That's what he believes too. You know, we don't know who's the bigger money man, you know, until things play out. But Leonard says Spence is, Samson says Spence is. That's what they believe, even off a loss. Errol should push for a rematch at 154 with Crawford. If not, he doesn't deserve a fight with Fundora. If Crawford is stopping the rematch at 154, then he should stay at 47, fight Boots. If that was the case, then I think that fight would have already happened by now, right? Because they had that clause in there. So, coming off a KO loss, Fundora did great. I agree. Guys are still coping from Tim's losing. Cuts are part of the fight game, and it is. And it's unfortunate, but you know, there's many times people have, and I'm not dismissing it like, oh, it's so easy, you know, Arthur Betterbeef did it against Marcus Brown, you know, blah blah blah. I'm not. It's just, it's part of the game, right? So it just comes with the territory, and sometimes you prepare for it, sometimes you aren't. Sometimes some cuts are worse than others. Sometimes you're lucky, it's not that bad. Sometimes you're just screwed. Tim Tszyu was overrated. His boxing skills are just good. His footwork's average. Power's great. I wouldn't say overrated, you know, but styles make fights, and he had a very tough fight last night, with or without the cut. Maybe Crawford versus Madrimov, being Crawford isn't signing anyone. I mean, if he signs with Matchroom, yeah, but I just, why would you fight Madrimov and not fight Boots? Like, when it comes to, like, you don't want to fight Boots because you're looking for more meaningful fights, either money or legacy, right? And like, Fundora can bring you another 2 belts, unification, another division, right? And Boots is definitely a more marketable fight to make than Madrimov. I don't know, because then that kind of contradicts what I'm saying, right? I'm kind of like, Madrimov is another belt in another division, right? So yeah, you might probably got me there, but I don't know. Like, I would have to have a conversation. Like, I'm just speculating, and I can't speculate for it unless I get more information, right? Terence is really like low key right now. He hasn't really put out what he wants, and even though he's kind of flirting on Twitter about this whole, yeah, get in line, Spence, you know, I mean, I haven't seen a contract. I haven't seen Bud say, I want that fight. You know, it's just, there's negotiations that should start next week if they happen to want to fight, right? So we don't even know if Bud wants to fight Fundora, right? So we just have to wait and, you know, and see how things play out. So, and we can't speak for Terence, you know? So just speculated, but between the two, you know, we'll see. Ring IQ is average also. We'll see. Styles make fights, right? Oh, dang. Y'all throwing shots at each other. Alright. That's what y'all doing, man. Y'all need to get... This is what we probably need to get, like, a game of, like, Street Fighter and have you guys actually fight virtually on here. So you guys can, like, trash talk or something in the game. Fundora was in camp for a pressure fighter in Boyacek, and he's only ever trained for shorter fighters. There was no short notice from Fundora. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, these guys both have to accept this short notice fight, and they both have to make the adjustments, you know. Exposed blood was blind. Whenever you're ducking in on a tall guy, says you don't know what you're doing. In that instance, he didn't know what to do, maybe. You know, it's easier said than done, but yeah, like, there's many guys that fight tall guys, and you know, Sergio Martinez was able to land that shot on Paul Williams and get him out of there. So I agree. There's certain people that are used to fighting people that are taller than them, and sometimes people aren't used to fighting guys that are smaller than them, not used to punching down on guys. So Bright says, let them fight. Damn, bro, Fundora gave you his lenses. They look kind of similar, right? Yo, I heard Fundora plays Tekken. he said he was pretty good at Tekken 5. So for all the Tim Tszyu fans out there, if I can play Tekken with Fundora, I'm gonna give him them hands for y'all. I'm telling you, y'all play some fighting games. All right. Oh shit. Did I? Hold on. Did I lose y'all? Okay, no. I'm telling y'all. My good old fight stick. So if Fundora, if you're peeping this live, you know who I am. We talk about that Tekken work. So all the Tim fans out there, that's the only way I can get it back for y'all. All right. Real questions: how shot was Fundora's elbow? Future opponents better take note of that. You didn't even take note of just that tall dude just boxing, man, because everyone thought he was just gonna, you know, y'all scared of Boots. Boots is a good fighter, man. Great fighter, you know, just hasn't had his time. He'll get his time. Spence gonna get whatever he wants, y'all. And if he wants Fundora, hell, he'll get it, right? He might. That's what Leonard was saying. It was a tough war last night. Rematch should happen, but that is not the business of boxing. Tszyu could have included that in his contract, given a short notice change. Yeah, it's kind of like Lomachenko when he fought Tszyu. There was no rematch in there, so. Spence don't deserve a title fight. He just came out of a devastating loss. Well, you know, there's a lot of guys that lose and then get a title shot right away. So it's hard to say who deserves what and not. But would I prefer Terence over Errol? I would, but it depends on what you like, right? Some people said Spence and Fundora is more competitive, and so they'd rather see a more competitive fight. Some people feel Bud would dominate Fundora, so do you want to fight that the guy dominates someone, or do you want a more competitive fight? You know, it's what you're liking. Maybe you're just a Spence fan and you like the idea that Spence can get something that Bud can't, you know, or you're a Bud fan and you like the idea of Bud constantly, you know, it's whatever you like. It's not that deep. Boots team want to fight Crawford, then been calling him out for years. Crawford's been ducking. We don't know who Crawford's fighting. What if he fights Boots? I don't know. After rematch, Tim lost. Tim did lose. I'll whoop you in MK1. Ooh, the great Swedes. That's what I'm talking about. I need some that's fun. But I ain't gonna lie, I ain't played MK1. I heard MK1's pretty garbage. So no shade on your game, but I heard it was pretty bad. So nah, yo, we need a battle on Undisputed. Yo, what up? Boxing Source? I don't even play that game, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I'm probably butt at that game. Tell Tim Tszyu to pay for a damn veteran cut man next time. All comes with experience, man. You can't really plan for that. But Spence deserves a title shot. Fundora also came back from loss and got a title shot. Ooh, he's spitting bars. What's good for Fundora and good for Spence, though, right? Killer Man capped the fight was even. Tim Tszyu was going to get his head boxed off like he did. If not the rematch with Tim, Bud earned the fight over Spence. Formula 1 Dizzy. I agree. He does. Crawford don't want a rematch. Didn't want a rematch in 154. Where's that at? They were cheap. Didn't want to spend the money. Spence is sucking now. Sucker Spence should fight Tony Harrison or somebody. Crawford is not fighting Boots. No, I don't think that fight's happening. I don't think Crawford and Boots is fighting. JR. Why are you on here, Cap? Oh, okay. Does Crawford wipe out everyone with 54? Who beats Crawford? I would favor Crawford to everyone, but that's not a for sure thing, right? So let's see it, right? The only way we find out is they fight, right? Because let's keep it real. Most people thought Tim was gonna beat Tim, cut or without cut, and even with the cut, let's say if I was like, look, Tim's gonna fight Fundora, but he's gonna have a pretty nasty cut. I think a lot of people are still gonna pick Tim, and he almost won with that cut. So, you know, anything can happen. You know, what if Terence gets cut? What if Fundora is the cut master? Like like there's truth that he might be accidentally, I'm just exaggerating. But what if Terence gets a cut? We don't know what Terence handles that type of adversity. So the only way we know is fights happen, and if it does happen, we'll find out, right? So, but I would favor Crawford at 154. What's up, Big Doll? Last night was lit. What up, TV Boxeo? What's up, brother? That's family right there. You guys subscribe right there. Yeah, last night was lit. That whole card was fire. PBC did their thing. No one will fight Crawford. He's on the wrong side of the street once again. He's not even like on a street. He's like he has his own. He actually does have a Terence Crawford street. He's just doing his own thing. Spence should fight a journeyman. Who would you want to see him fight? Formula, you have a name? Fundora is getting ready to ruin his career by listening to his manager drop the belt that he just got. Depends, man. If they're right and say Spence does make him more money than the Crawford fight. And remember. It doesn't necessarily, like when people say it make more money to fight one person over another, that might not necessarily mean that person doesn't bring value. Just one person might bring that specific person more value than fighting the other person. It's subjective. And in this case, that's what they might feel. So, but we don't know that information we will never know that information. Who's the bigger draw for them. We just have to guess. Nobody wants to see Spence. Thought he had injuries, so my boy deserves a shot. I agree. I would prefer Bud over Spence. Like, everyone who's coming in now, like, I agree. I prefer Bud to face Fundora, but I understand that if Fundora's manager positions him to fight Spence, I would understand, and I would still watch the fight. It's just not my number one pick, personally. Apparently Crawford agreed to fight. At 54, but Errol won't be ready in time. Yeah. Boots, all Boots. Great Swedes. Boots is a great fighter, man. He'll get his opportunity, man. I would totally love to see Crawford Boots, but I just don't think it'll happen. The WBO will never work with Fundora. He'll never be unified or be undisputed. If he fights as mandatory, he could be, if he wants to attempt. Everyone's avoiding Bud right now, but I like to see a rematch. That incidental elbow change to fight. I agree, Mike. I agree 1,000%. I think everyone agrees that the cut made a difference, That should be no contest for cuts of that magnitude. If boxing was just Fundora and Lubin to be next. They would have had to been, for it to be a no contest, they would have had to, stop it before 4. Not long ago, Spence got brain damage, he got cataracts. He's not the same, but now he's talking about, he about to fight the big dog. Now he got some hype, but now we know we gonna break him down. But we want to see Spence, see what changed him. I understand the Texas angle though. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's doesn't mean it's gonna work. Maybe it does. You got the whole Tex-Mex thing going down there in Texas. Spence versus Little Charlie, all Texas Shield. They won't fight. They're friends unless there's a lot of money. I know they talked about it, but maybe if they were both undisputed. But yeah. Who has the 4th belt at 154? Israel Majamov. Oh wait, you're talking about the IBF, right? Right? For 154, I think, because we got Majamov. Just got one. Tim Tszyu, Fundora has 2 of them. And I think the IBF hasn't really, I don't think IBF did their fight yet. I think that fight happens on someone's undercard. I think. Am I whispering? Am I too quiet? The boxing scholar? I'm sorry. I'm vibing right now, so. Is that better? Oh, over here with my R&B voice. Here. All right. I'll sit up for you, man. Yeah, if there's any like weird audio stuff, just let me know. I'll tweak it. You know, I'll turn the mic up or something. Let's see. And not facing the camera. I'm looking at, like, the reason I'm not here is because my chat's not really working that great on this side. This is probably better than. There we go. My chat isn't in my camera, so that's why it doesn't work that way, my friend. All right. Brent, Boots has a mandatory at the moment. Unfortunately, Cody's in no rush to fight him. You gotta make sure the money's right. I think that's probably what that whole situation's about. Boots had a chance to fight Bud. His father gated it. Deal with the booty fans. Why do you say booty fans? And where is Boots' mom? Okay. Mom's the word. His fans want to fight him more than him. Yeah, who's the IBF 154? Yeah, it's vacant. Spence Ramos would be fired. That'd be a great fight. I agree. But your Errol Spence, you know, when you're talking about getting title shots, you don't fight a Jesus Ramos. But I like that fight, though, as a fan. WBO president already said Terence Bud Crawford is next because he is the best. Well, I think it's because he's. I think it's because he's in position to. That's what it is, JR. Jack Kulke versus. Oh, I'm gonna butcher that man's name. It's, if you look up the IBF rankings, it's number 1 versus number 2. So on April 6th. Is that on the Matchroom card? Is that on Richardson Hitchens card? Hold up. Richardson Hitchens. Box rep. I'm gonna check the card real quick. And no, it's not. No, it's not. What card is that on? Do you know what card that is on, JR? That IBF? No, it's not. Your voice is low? Okay. I'll fix that. Check. All right. Hold on. All right. Let me turn this. I think the music might be too loud. Let me know if the audio sounds better. I got the mic suspending above me right now, so I gotta tweak it. All right. There we go. The fight would be in Germany. Okay. So we got Fundora has 2 of the belts. And then Israel Madrimov just won his. And then the last piece, the IBF, will be in Germany. Got it. All right. Nobody wants to fight Bud. The longer they freeze him out, the older he gets. They want the help. They want the help of Father Time. Yep. The older you are, the easier the fight is. But Bud is a specimen. He stays in the gym, so he might be an older guy. Rob the Barbarian. What's for dinner, Ron? I'm starving. I think I'm going to eat some Korean food tonight. Yeah, my volume's very low. All right. Let's fix this mic problem. Let's see. Lock volume. All right, check. Yeah, I need to fix this thing because it's like right in my face. Maybe I can do something like this. This is all a work in progress, guys, so let me know if that sounds better. All right, let me know if that sounds better. All right. Crawford ran from Boots is a good name. For what? Your mic is fine? Okay. Yeah, Korean food sounds good. Korean food is always good. I can hear fine. Sounds better? Alright. Alright. I get mic issues when I play games with this anyways. So, alright. But yeah, sticking back to the topic, we have a poll, right? No. I don't know what they're talking about. It might have been, I had some music playing, so either or. So either or, looking at the poll though, we have 1,796 votes, and it says Terence Crawford should get the Fundora fight. 32% believes Tim Tszyu should get the rematch, and then Errol Spence at 28%. So, public said it. Terence, if not rematch, if not Spence is the least desirable. The fight that most likely will happen, if they don't vacate the title, it's going to be probably Errol Spence. And if not Errol Spence, it's almost like reverse, the Tim Tszyu rematch, and then lastly Terence Crawford. It's crazy. It's crazy how what the reality is probably going to be what the votes don't reflect, right? And I bet you a lot of the votes and a lot of the fans prefer to have Terence fight Boots, but it's probably not the most likely position, and probably warranted for many different reasons, similar like why Errol might get the Fundora fight. So, why isn't Boots fighting? Well, I think Boots was trying to fight Cody Crowley, and some things fell out. You know, something potentially about not enough this or that. So, I know that Dron Ennis had a, a purse bid that got postponed and then pushed and canceled. So, but Boots should be fighting this year. I know my homie is really tight with the peeps in there. So, they got a fight coming up soon. What's with all the message retracted? What you guys retracting? You guys don't want to stand on what you say? Boots couldn't even stop Karen. Crawford has 9 straight KOs at welterweight. I mean, look, if the betting odds happen, I think the betting odds would favor Crawford for the right reasons. Does that mean Boots doesn't have a chance? Everyone has a chance. I think Boots is, if it isn't Crawford, I think Boots is probably the best welterweight by far. And that's a fight that I just don't think is going to happen. And it's unfortunate because that feels like a number 1 and number 2 in the welterweight fight happening. And if we differ in opinion, like if someone thinks, hey, Boots beats Crawford, or there's a Crawford, like, oh, Crawford beats Boots, I respect it. That is one of those fights where I think the hype from boxing fans, with the eye test and what everyone sees, like, that's a fight we claim. It's like David Benavidez and Canelo. Like, we all want to see that fight because we have our picks, you know what I mean? But we know it's something special. But, you know, he says Boots is the best fight in the world. Reports are that, let's see, he's scared of Boots, though, not going to lie. So, stop at Boots whooping everyone. See, like, so that's a fight we want to see. Probably ain't going to happen, you know? So, for many understandable, sensible reason, right? But reports are that an agreement was made for Boots and Crowley. If so, be on the lookout for the bout being on May 4th. Yeah, I heard about that. Cody Crowley was at the fight yesterday, too. So, I didn't really get to ask him on camera or do anything. So, but we'll find out, right? Like, there's no way Boots is not going to fight this year, right? So, but the person who spoke about him not being able to stop Karen, my personal opinion, this is mine, I feel that when Boots was fighting Karen, I feel like he was trying to force, and I could be wrong, like a knockout, and instead of just naturally being Boots, right? Because he was on a big stage, he was on Tank's undercard, he was the co-main, and I was there in DC when the fight happened. It was explosive. Like the crowd was packed. It was Tank. He had the what's that dude's song? That song was so popular. Hold on, let me find it. He came out to that Oh, that little Uzi Vert song that I Just Want to Rock at the time where everyone was doing that dance, and that place was just jumping, and you can hear like the dudes all like hype because they knew Boots was coming, and you can hear the chicks like saying like he looked cute in the background, stuff like he had all that going, but I felt like he made this like bet like I want to compete with Tank and I'll get the knockout faster than him, and you know. Nothing bad, like nothing bad about it. But I think he might have just kind of felt like he had to force a devastating knockout. And Karen wasn't there to set him up for her, and he was it's just an experience thing, right? Not saying that he won every single round on the fight card, like practically. So it's not like he struggled. He just didn't perform what you thought, right? When you think about it, this was a top guy. I think it was from Ukraine or something. A great footwork. Like, we didn't really know too much about him, so you just expect Boots to beat everybody out. So, he just didn't. But it's okay. Right after that, he fought the guy that beat Rashidi Ellis and Villa, and he did the slow motion shit, and then he's back, right? So, it happens. All right, let me catch up with the chat. Boots the best fighter, Boots hasn't beaten nobody to prove that he is this great fighter. Period. He couldn't even stop Karen, but would have destroyed Karen. Furthermore, how is he ducking Boots but chasing bigger fighters? I don't think no fighters duck. Like I'm never gonna use the word duck like in here. Like I just don't, because there's always gonna be some sort of sensible reason, and like you kind of pointed out, like he wanted Canelo Alvarez, right? Which some people might feel like is cash up. But do you think chasing Canelo is like an easy fight? It's not, you know. But there's more money, you know. He might believe that he can do it, and it doesn't seem like he's gonna get the Canelo fight anytime soon. So, but there's always some sort of logical reason behind all this stuff, and then it's not because he's ducking. Like imagine if Boots. If fighting Boots gets you $40 million, he's going to fight Boots. You know, it really just comes down to like value and worth and what you're trying to accomplish. So neither guys are scared of each other. Like and neither one is ducking each other too. It just has to make sense. Is what all this is about. Crawford's too experienced for Boots. Crawford has a lot more experience than Boots, like on a professional realm, 1,000%. Why can't Spence, is what you meant to say. Why can't Spence fight Boots? Y'all want him to fight Bud so bad. How is the man who beat the man ducking? I would love to see Spence Boots too. But I think why I think Bud and Boots gets brought up so often, it's kind of like we know who the best guy at welterweight is. Clearly it's Bud. Like proven, right? But now what's next? The next best guy. And that's what happens. It's like this consistent, like you beat this guy, well then beat this guy. And Boots looks like the next guy by far. So with the eye test. Now, does he have the credentials? Nobody has the credentials when you're the up and coming guy. And then, you know, eventually you start proving yourself and all that. But that's why the Boots and Bud is so interesting. Like Canelo essentially cleaned out 168, right? So there's only one dude in there that we want, David Benavidez. So if Bud stays at 147, Boots, but it just doesn't seem like he's gonna stay at 147. So if he's not, there's really no point even kind of bringing it up. And if you feel like it's a duck, you feel like it's a duck. But you know, we'll see what he makes. You know, what moves he makes. But these guys don't duck each other. It just has to make sense for them. Boots versus Devin Haney, what happened in the future? Sounds crazy now, but what happened? It's a possibility. Spence versus Ennis. The scene was crazy, but a lot of smoke too. Yo, you were there. Yeah, you were there too. Boxing Swords. If you just a quick shout out. My man got a channel, the Boxing Source. He goes to the fights like I do. He does interviews. Like he's a cool guy. If you want to support him, he's starting a channel. Just click the Boxing Source. These are good people. So if you want to show some support, that's my personal relation. So he's a cool guy. So show him some love if you want to You know, if you show me love, show him some love if you can. Little Zooted Ronnie should hop back on TBV every now and then. That's my stomping grounds. That's where I started. So I'll always have love for TBV. They're the ones that gave me my break into boxing. So shout out to Ness and shout out to everyone doing their thing over there. 1,000%. You know, without them blessing me in, then, you know, I probably wouldn't be sitting where I'm sitting right now. So shout out to them. Virgil sleeps Boots. That's a fight we need to have. That's a more realistic fight to happen. Virgil versus Boots, 1,000%. Boots didn't even know how to cut the ring off on a C-level fighter, period. The dude Village just stood there. Make it make sense. The dude would move and confuse the Boots into a stoppage. Styles make fights. Some fights help guys. But I think Boots is a good fighter. I just think that night is just, it was an experience that he didn't have. And what I mean by this, like being on the big stage, how to handle the pressure of, do you deliver a knockout? Do you force a knockout? You know, I just think all that was, because you remember he won the fight clearly. It's just he didn't get the knockout and he didn't look spectacular, right? So it was one of his underwhelming performances. It's like when Shakur had some underwhelming performances, like his last one. Doesn't mean like Shakur ain't one of those guys. You know, any of these guys that have an underwhelming performance doesn't mean like they're not good. It's just, it was just, they weren't just on that perfect execution that night sometimes. And maybe that style didn't do it. Oh shit. Alright, I hit the wrong button. Bear with me. Too many buttons back here. But yeah, I just don't think that was an experience thing for him. He was just learning how to deal with that day. Why is a 6.6 hiding in this weight category? He can make the weight. He can make the weight. That's why. Y'all just be saying anything. He's also 12-0. That guy. Oh, he's telling. Spence sounded a little punchy last night. Everyone keeps saying that. Like, are you guys just reading into it a little too deep? Or is that just Errol? Just on Errol. You know? I don't know. You guys have to send me a clip or something. The problem Fedora has is he will still struggle sell fights. He couldn't sell ice to an Eskimo. His promoter knows that. That's why they want the Spence fight. Well, then that's why he wants the Spence fight. Then it makes perfect sense if, you know. And that's what Samson's saying. I think, but here's the thing. Whoever Fundora fights is going to be a big event. Which one's bigger is up to debate. But it's still going to be a big event. Like, you can't fight Crawford and think it's not going to be a big event. Like, it might not be the biggest event if you feel Spence is. But you win either or, right? So, you don't lose. Maurice Lee is top 3, best at 147. Yo, Coda, what's crazy is Maurice Lee sparred Devin, Boots. No, wait, he didn't spar Boots. He sparred Pacquiao, Devin, and Mayweather. Yeah. That's some pretty interesting experience. I have an interview, I think, on, yeah, it's up on FightHype right now. So if you type his name in there, he has to. But, let's see. Fundora still looks like a kid. How old is Fundora? Got them good genes, man. Fundora is 26. He's technically still a kid, depending on your age. Boots needs to prove something. He's happy with that email. Y'all doing more talking than Boots. He doesn't want that smoke for real. He's happy email champion, but had man stuttering on the phone. I don't think he's happy that that's how he won his belt. I think he just understands the situation he's in, right? Like, no person who wins a belt is content with the idea of just not dethroning the reigning champion for it. You know, and he knows that. And he doesn't, you know, he's not happy with it. Like, yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm a champion, but, you know, he wants to earn it. So, I don't think he's happy with it. Errol Spence should build himself back up and fight Erickson, Lubin, and Jesus Ramos. But what if he loses that fight, right? What if he loses that fight? Then he's really over. But, you know, it's a catch-22. You take the tune-up, and then you get what you need, great. You take a tune-up and you lose, you're done. But only Errol Spence knows, right? So, but if he does need a tune-up, I don't think those are tune-ups. Remember, he's going to 154 for the first time. And Erickson Lubin, yeah, you know, he's lost a lot of his marquee fights, but he's still a great fighter. And he's put the current champion on his ass. And Jesus Ramos, who's in a controversial decision loss against Erickson Lubin, because some people felt that he won that fight too. So those aren't easy fights, man. Those aren't tune-ups, man. Those are almost like setups, right? I don't know. That's just me. Like, I think those are still tough fights for coming off a long layoff. And those are the people that you have to face in a new division with a potential new trainer. We don't even know if he has a new trainer or not. Shore had a broken hand, totally different situation. For what we know, maybe Boots has something and he just didn't tell nobody, right? I'm not making excuses for him, right? I'm just, you know, you never know, right? I'm just saying, like, every situation is different and some people can have bad nights. And it's comparing Shakur and Boots, it's just comparing to other fighters that just had lackluster performances, which aren't necessarily lackluster. It's just you have an expectation because of who they are, and you expect them to perform at a level of that guy. And sometimes when those guys have a night that doesn't deliver it, it's easy to criticize them. So that's all. That's why I kind of, you know, I still think Shakur and Boot, you know, after those performances were still those, you know, still the guys that they say they are. You know, they just need to get in a ring with the opposition that we want them to see, and then that's how we really know. Boot's gonna stop Bud. Let's see. Boot's gonna stop Bud. That's why you don't want Bud in there. I want to see that fight, but I just don't think it's gonna happen personally. You know. I think it's a great fight. Why does Spence have to do anything? Fundora was stopped and he got the title fight. Yeah, just because you get stopped doesn't mean you can't get a title fight. I agree. Crawford in 5 rounds. Errol beats Fundora. And if Errol beats Fundora, a rematch with Crawford would be nice, right? That'd be good. That would build the rematch. Fundora and Errol are both in the Heyman class, where Fair's elevated. I don't know. What does that make Mayweather then? Mayweather's in the Heyman class, right? What's next for Cruz? He's called out Haney, Gervonta, and Teofimo, but I really see him fighting Matias. Well, Matias is a Matchroom, so PBC and Matchroom will have to come together, which is very rare. Cruz, I don't think Cruz is fighting Tank. As much as it makes sense for a rematch, I don't see that happening. Who does Cruz fight? Who is at 140 with PBC? I mean, Matias would be dope, right? Mexican, Puerto Rican. Maybe he might get like a soft touch, like a Alberto Pollo. Hey, whoever I told that Isaac Cruz was not ranked at the 140, he definitely was ranked at 140 before the Rolly. I was wrong. How is he ranked at 140? Well, regardless, he just got thrown in there. He didn't have a 145. I don't know. Maybe Pitbull fights a small Barroso. He can put the old man to sleep. Okay. Fundora and Errol are both in the Heyman. Okay. So technically Spence was supposed to fight the winner of Tim and Thurman. That's crazy. I don't know if he would have fought Thurman if Thurman won, right? He can't stand Thurman. But you never know, right? Spence. Errol fought at 154 in the amateurs. Spence doesn't deserve a title shot right now. Spence does not deserve a title shot. So Fundora deserved one. Get the FO out of here, Mal. Okay. Since when did you get rewarded for losing? Errol Spence does not deserve a title shot. Fundora got rewarded? You know? I'm not saying like I want Spence and Fundora over Crawford and Fundora. I'm just answering than saying that. Yeah. Fundora should have a rematch to Tim Tszyu at some point. I agree. PBC is a cancer in boxing. I don't agree. I think PBC does great for boxing, but as a business, not just PBC, overall everywhere, I think we don't get the fights we want at the time that we want. We're very impatient. And what I mean impatient is we want the fights where it makes sense, right? But it technically doesn't make sense in the grand scheme of like boxing as a business. So that's kind of where we're at as boxing fans. Boot's been calling Crawford out for years. He even called him out when he was on the phone $1 million worth of games interview before he gave him the belt and went up. And he ran off when Boots was next. I don't know. I've heard two stories, and they both make sense to me, you know? So, I just don't think the fight's going to happen, you know? Like, it makes sense why the fight didn't happen on both ends, and I don't think neither one is ducking each other. So, I don't. They both have actually sensible reasons why, and that's why I think the fight ain't going to happen, because of their situations. Especially then. But we'll see, you know? You never know what happens. Damn, seeing Fundora get knocked out by Mendoza, I just think either Spence or Crawford beats him. I would favor Crawford for sure. I don't know what Spence has, so I would have it a little bit more competitive. I need to think a little bit more about Spence and Fundora, personally. Great fight, though. Spence can go to the body. You know, Tim didn't go to the body as much. He was head hunting pretty hard. Certain people hate PBC because they hate Mayweather. I agree. I think PBC gets hate for many different reasons. And I think they get loved for the same reasons why it's hated for. So, you know, you can hate PBC because of Mayweather, and you can love PBC because of Mayweather, you know. But as boxing fans, we all watch the same fights. It don't matter. Errol Spence is looking like a cruiserweight. Crawford said he looked like a linebacker. I don't know. He had a big jacket on, so. You know, if Ryan back out, Boots is back up. For Devin? No way. That wouldn't make sense. Fundora gets rewarded like his brother Spence, who are PBC people cancer. Oh shit, Town Biz. I'm just reading chat. What's up, Town Biz? Errol Spence been eating too much Texas barbecue. He looks very big. Did you get to like see him up close yesterday? Like I only got to see him like right here in the shot. This is all I got to see, and then he walked on the side. So I didn't really get to see him in person like that. Like I had to yell from the bleachers to get his attention, or the media section. WBO commission isn't gonna let Errol Spence title fight happen. It's not about the commission that makes the fight happen. It's the fact that Fundora wanted to keep that belt. Right? You know? Because you can fight without the belt. We're not a fan of people losing the belt, you know, making fights. But at the same time, think of it like this. All right? I'm going to bring us back to July of last year. If Errol Spence and Terence Crawford had to drop a belt for undisputed, for Drawn Ennis, would it have changed the dynamics of Errol Spence and Crawford as a fight? Like what it meant to you? No. We would like to have all the belts, but so, you know, it's just really hard to get all the belts. And, you know, but yeah, I agree. I'm not a fan. I would rather have Fundora Crawford versus Fundora Spence. But I'm not knocking Spence Fundora either, you know. But Fundora is already in the division, top contender. Spence is 200 pounds off the McDonald's. Yo, why y'all disrespecting Spence so much? Dang, bro. He lost to Crawford. Like, that's it. Like, he lost to Crawford. Like, what? Y'all so brutal. Like, geez, my man was enjoying himself. Like, it's been over a year. Like, enjoying the fruits of his labor. You know what I mean? But PBC builds hype jobs like UFC promotes personalities over skill. No, you can't. Look, you can't win every fight. Not every fighter goes undefeated, right? You know, I get the whole narrative, the Fulton, the Wilder, the Spence, and it's been a track record of that, yeah. But you win some, you lose some. You know, can't say Fulton's not a good fighter. You know, you can't say Spence isn't a good fighter. Like, my dude beats Porter, Kell Brook, like, he's a good fighter, man. I get it. But I had Crawford beating Spence before going to fight, but Spence is a good fighter. Crawford had boots stuttering and mumbling on the phone. You man fans be lying, Jack. Oh, dang. Let's hope Fundora doesn't bring his elbow game again because Crawford doesn't react well to blood flows, and I'm a Bud fan. Yo, help me out, right? What fight was it that Bud was bleeding? I'm just, it's not in my brain right now. So if you know the fight, that would help me out tremendously. Just, if you know the fight. Lumor, I don't know how to say the name. Lumeri? Sorry if I butchered it. Can we get Bud versus Charlo? That would have been perfect, like, last year. Don't know if I want to see Charlo dive taking. Russell brother at 140. No rematch for Charlo. Wasn't no Texas barbecue more like McDonald's from DoorDash? His woman's been posting pics on their vacation, and he still looks in shape. That's what I'm saying, Ben. Like, the owner of FightHype knows what's up. Like, come on, man. Y'all making it sound like Spence is like this big old... Like, when Billy Joe Sanders was seen, like, he was big. Spence ain't big, bro. Like, he's not. And he said he wanted to move up in weight, so... Those pics of old Errol out of shape. That weight cut was tough for him, and he may be better at 154. I agree. I don't understand. So much hate, man. Both great fighters. Boots is a great fighter. Spence is a great fighter. Earl's a great fighter. And fuck it, Fundora is a great fighter. Tim's a good fighter. There's just, you win, you lose. Just because you lose don't mean you bad. And they ain't ducking each other. The more you understand the business, the more, I don't want to say complacent or content you get, but the more you just realize that it's more than just two guys getting in the ring and fighting, There's a lot more to it. And it might make everyone sound like a hypocrite. Like, everybody's a hypocrite at that point then. But then they're not, because they all have the same philosophy, It's not, no one's ducking you, nobody. It's rare when you hear fighters claim another fighter's ducking another one. That's not who they want to face, right? If you want to face someone, oh, he's ducking me, yada. That's all just trying to get the fight, right? But when you hear other fighters talk about other fighters in other divisions, you rarely hear them saying that fighter's ducking that fighter. Unless they have some sort of, like, a lack of understanding of the business, or they don't like that person, but that's all. Why is Jamel Charlo vacating all his belts at 154? I don't know. We would have to ask Jamel. No one's got an interview with him, so we don't know what's up with him. Gamboa was an undefeated champion, knocking out everybody. Oh, I think you're defending Crawford. Shame on Errol. PCC gave excuses that he had medical insurances and cannot rematch. All of a sudden, he miraculously healed now and he can face Fundora. That fight was in July, bro. And he's still not in the ring. So, I don't know if he's miraculously healed. I think he's taking the appropriate time. Long as Spence don't fight Boots, he'd be okay. Name the people Gamboa would be. He had a sweatshirt and a jacket. Crawford was the favorite in the Spence fight. Crawford fans act like he did something special. I mean, I did have him as the favorite. And when you fight a top 10 pound for pound guy where they ranked and you make it look so one-sided, that's pretty special. I would say it's pretty special. Just because you're the favorite doesn't mean you're going to win, right? Tim Tszyu was the favorite the other day and he lost, right? Under circumstances, right? But just being a favorite doesn't mean anything. It's definitely how you separate yourself from these guys is what makes you special. If if you're the number 1 pound for pound guy and you're fighting the number 3 pound for pound guy and you make that guy look so ordinary and so easy, like, that's some special stuff, right? When Floyd fought Canelo, it was easy. But we know how great Canelo a fighter is, and that's what made that fight so special and why we talk about it. So Crawford made Spence look very ordinary compared to, you know, other fights, and that was a special performance. You know, it's still debated on was Spence 100% or not, because that's how dominant it was. So, but he was the favorite. I did pick Crawford, and he did what he was supposed to do. And I also predicted what the fight was going to be like that too. So, Spence is a hype job, that's why. I had to deal with Spence fans for 5 years, and I'm having a ball, so told you so. Okay, so you're gloating. Nothing wrong with gloating. The referee Tszyu called the fight after the 4th round. PBC finessed the belts away, and he would have gotten a rematch right away. He didn't react well early in his career, and he was really sad. Only time Crawford bled was from a headbutt. What fight was it when he had a headbutt? Who Crawford should fight while waiting for the winner? It's a good question. A fight that's like realistic, or a fight that we want to see? Because everyone's going to say Boots, right? So what is a realistic fight that Crawford have that makes sense? I don't know. He has a lot of options. I don't know. Because it's like, there's fights that make sense, but he's going to have to want it. And we don't know what he wants. So it's like, I'll be speaking out my ass at that point, right? Like, maybe he could fight Thurman, right? But does he want to fight Thurman? I don't know. When you promise a rematch, you need to take it after the crawfish boil talk. You're saying that Crawford denied the rematch. I don't know if that was the case. One of these guys needs to fight Thurman. He tried. It was supposed to be last night. Oh, you're talking about one of these like guys like Thurman, Boots, and I think Boots and Thurman would be a good fight, but Thurman's gonna want to fight Boots if it makes sense, but probably doesn't make sense. So the Porter fight, Bud was cut by a headbutt. He was cut in that fight? Huh, I don't remember. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Blue belt. Spence a B level. Bro, cut the narrative talking points. Spence was a product of great matchmaking. Soon as he fought an A-level fighter, he got exposed. A lot of fighters are products of great matchmaking. It's not just Spence. But you win some, you lose some. And he fought Terence Crawford. And he lost. No shame in that, you know? Like, I've thought Terence Crawford was the pound-for-pound fighter for quite some time. You know, Inoue belongs in that conversation, you know, for a while. Canelo, even on the early stages, you saw something special with Lomachenko, you know. I mean, the pound-for-pound stuff has changed often a lot, but Crawford's only been consistently, like, staying at that spot for some long time. So he's fought the best fighter in many people's eyes. And so, you know, it's I don't know how to explain that. Like, it's hard to say someone's a B-level fighter when you fight the best, arguably the best fighter on planet Earth, right? It's like the same with Inoue. People feel Inoue is also potentially the best fighter. There's no shame, you know? So that's all. That's like saying like Ricky Hatton isn't a good fighter because he lost to Pacquiao and Floyd, you know. So he's terrible, right? But he beat Costa Tszyu, right? So like he's not a bum, right? Listen, the PBC joke, because that is super disrespectful. PBC joke. I think Fundora just got lucky. He signed to a fight 2 weeks. Look, boxing always will have a little percent of luck. You know, there's always luck in boxing. All right. I think I'm gonna be wrapping up pretty soon. I think we did a good chat. I'm gonna finish up reading the chat, and then I'm gonna drag this on too much. Bud was bloody in the fight too. He hated it. Hated it. Yeah, people don't like blood, dude. Like, I don't think people understand. When you see your own blood and you're cut, like Manny Pacquiao when he fought Jeff Horn, it changed the whole flow of things in that fight, you know? So, Tim Tszyu almost won with those type of adversity, so I understand a rematch is warranted, right? If it's not Bud, Tim Tszyu rematch, not Tim Tszyu rematch, Spence. I'm cool with all three, really. But in my order is really Terence, rematch, and Spence. Gamboa was never a champ at 135. No, I think he was a silver WBC. Tim Tszyu has a great fight last night despite a terrible and early adversity. They went through the fight. Absolutely. Who's your favorite fighter? Like right now or all time? If it's right now, I have a lot. I like watching Terence fight. I like watching Inoue fight. I like watching Devin fight. I like watching Tank fight. I like watching Betterby fight. David Benavidez. Who am I missing? Boots Ennis. Canelo. Bivol. Betterby. AJ right now, like he's beating ass. Smaller weight classes, Junto Nakatani's nice. Kenshiro, like he's really small. Bam Rodriguez, like there's so many fighters, dude. Like there's so many fighters that I really enjoy. Raymond Ford. Keyshawn Davis. There's a lot, dude. I can name so many, you know. What's up, Zach? Zach Petro. Yeah, Gambo was undefeated. Bam Rodriguez pound for pound. Bam's dope, bro. He's fighting Estrada coming up. Bam Rodriguez is a dope fighter. That Sonny Edwards fight was ill. Thurman's done. He's injury prone. He's getting there, man. He kind of spoke about it in third person when he talked about Spence. As long as they fight, I don't care. Top fights we want. I agree. Patman beat Mayweather too. I don't know about that. You might have to watch that fight again. Like 100 times if you thought Pac-Man beat Mayweather. Not much luck in boxing, mainly ring. I don't know, man. Ask the chat. I might be crazy if everyone in chat thinks Pacquiao beat Mayweather, but Mayweather definitely beat Pacquiao in that fight. I can't even find a scenario where Pacquiao won that fight. I can't even envision how that scorecard looks like. I think Spence should fight Fundora next. It's total BS. If Tim Tszyu rematch, it should be Crawford, Fundora, Spence. When it's Spence. I agree, Terry. I agree. But really, recap a lot of stuff. It was a great card last night. There was a lot of action, top to bottom. Even on the prelims with Boyacek and Brian Mendoza and Cormel Moulton and Anthony Cuba. Like, if that's how you launch a PBC card, like, that was a great one. And I think more is going to come. There's rumors of Tank and David Benavidez on a card with Frank Martin and David going 175, fighting Alexander, Goschek, like, crazy card. So, Amazon, like, Prime, PBC, I was entertained. So, great card. David Morrell, Mayweather ran through Pacquiao. Like, I don't. Maybe Floyd washed them up. Yeah, and here's the thing, and I don't want to make this like a race thing or nothing, but like, I'm black and Asian. Like, I got hella love for Floyd and Pacquiao. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if I want to be tribal about it, right? So it was like, Like, it's rush hour. Like, I got a lot of love for Pacquiao and Floyd. Like, they were some of my favorite fighters watching in the sport growing up. So I was extremely biased to both of those things. And Floyd won. Like, it's not that deep. It's just boxing. Pacquiao, listen, Floyd has created his legacy. Undefeated, 50-0, beat everyone, he got his legacy. And then Pacquiao, his legacy of moving 8 divisions and becoming a champion in his 20s, his 30s, and his 40s. Like, two greats can coexist at the same exact time. So, damn, you don't look black at all. Dude, I got that all the time. Trust me. Yeah. Stop lying, Ron. Amen. The hair don't lie, bro. The hair don't lie. But on the real note, it's you can't, like, sometimes when we get into this whole comparing these guys, like, we start stripping away, like, all their greatness just because they fought each other. And so, you know, that's not the case, man. They have their own great legacies, and by comparing them, you're only going to find out how different they are, you know. And really, the only thing is that they fought and one had to win. That's it. You know, I prefer Manny Pacquiao and Floyd. That's fine. You know, Floyd started lightweight, Manny at featherweight. Manny started way smaller than a featherweight, Bobby. Way smaller than a featherweight. If I used to have rematches all the time, I agree. How the business ain't set up that way as much, you know. But it's 37 in September. He hasn't made enough more, and that's why Ennis payday is not attracted to him. I agree. See, like you guys know in the chat, like it's not like you guys are dumb. Like the chat knows boxing, like, and I get it. Like, if you're saying stuff to get some of your frustration out, because we're all kind of in the same like-minded sense, right? Like, we all think similar, you know. But at the end of the day, you know, it's boxing, and hopefully we get the fights we want, and we get them in a timely fashion before we pass away, or anything happens, you know, God forbid. And it didn't escape then. Like, there was fights that didn't happen back then. Aaron Pryor and Sugar Ray Leonard, like, that was a sensible fight. Or like Donald Curry and Sugar Ray Leonard, or Michael Nunn and Sugar Ray Leonard. Like, Sugar Ray Leonard didn't fight Marvin Hagler when, you know what I mean? And, you know, he had the eye injury. I get it. But guess what? He came back out. So apparently the eye didn't stop him, right? So it's always been the same thing, dude. It's always been the same thing. From back in the day when they had racial division on who fought who and who was allowed to fight for the titles. Like, there's always been politics, you know. He came up short. He was beaten. Mayweather gets the most hate. People, my God, people still whine about Castillo. It's been 20 years. That was a good fight. I think it's valid. People can still talk about Castillo. But Floyd did that instant rematch, immediate rematch. Manny dared to be great, came up short, happens. Yeah, it's not wrong. Manny and Floyd were both great. Don't need to compare. And Floyd was the bigger man and the more skilled person. So the better man won. This is what it just came down to it, you know? You know, Pacquiao ended up fighting Thurman and beating him at the age of 40. Great legacy. Floyd was 50-0, fought everyone, beat everyone that he was able to get in the ring with, and worked and fought the most champions. Great. They're all Hall of Famers, you know? That doesn't matter after they're done fighting, you know? You know, I mean, I do wish they fought earlier, but, you know, shit happens. Manny went further in weight classes than by Floyd. He absolutely did. He absolutely did. And Floyd fought more champions and beat more champions. Or did Floyd fight more champions than Pacquiao? Because he definitely beat more champions. But strawweight being a welterweight is crazy, Bobby. It'll probably never happen again. No, some of the people don't have a clue. Maybe they don't, Blue Belt. You know? I like to believe that my chat's smart, right? You guys are educating each other too. Like, so, guys are. If you fight long enough, the right person, you're gonna lose one. Exactly. So, but medical is one. But I think I extended the live, at a good point. I don't want to like ramble, and I don't want to turn these things into like long ramble sessions, but more like we get to the topic, we have some fun, and then we move on to the next. So, if you guys do enjoy these, right? Like, I'm open for feedbacks. Like, you can write in the comments. You can say, this guy sucks. It won't hurt my feelings. You can say, the layout's terrible. Get a better mic. If you guys say the sound doesn't sound good. If it says the sound's bad. Whatever it is, I'm open to it. If you want, this is my goal, right? I'm going to just simplify it again. My goal is to do a consistent shows and consistent things that are a little bit different, right? We got the nice, sexy layouts. Right? Let me see. All the cool, sexy transitions like this, right? All the cool layouts. And bring on some co-hosts. Bring in some, guests, interviews, fighters. And even like how we do interviews a little bit different, right? Maybe interact, get you guys on board. Maybe, whatever you guys want. Just feel free to give feedback. But my thing is that here at FightHype, we have interviews and we have content, but we don't really have this like community and engage, right? And there's a lot of guys that do interviews here. It's not just me. There's Sean that you guys know well. There's my guy Hans. There's Frankie, guys in UK. So it's really kind of stepping from behind the camera and stepping in front of the camera, so you guys know who we are. We can kind of engage. Tell you a little bit about ourselves, go to the events. You guys can give us questions, right? Like maybe you like, yo, that was a dumb question, dog. Like, why are you asking these type of questions? And all right, cool. Give me questions, right? Now, I'm a fan just like you guys too. I'm not any different than you guys, so we can brainstorm topics and stuff like that, and then we can go and go to the source, and I deliver. Right? And say such and such from this and whatever. So get Boots on the show. We can probably make that happen. We got Boots on FightHype. I got a good, relationship with them, and they're good people. You know what I mean? Like I said, this whole Boots and Bud stuff it's not that deep. It's not. Also, if you cherry pick, okay. Saying Ronda Rousey could be Floyd was insane. That was insane, Get Alicia Baumgartner and Abraham on the show. That'll never happen, bro. That'll never happen, bro. Unless they piece it out. But yeah. But yeah, either or, like I said, I definitely believe like we ran our show, in a nice extended period of time. Like I said, I don't want to run this on too long, but the concept is topic, shows, and you might see my face. You might see my buddy Sean. You never know who you're going to see, right? Maybe I can hit up some fighters. We do a co-host. We just read the chat, right? Maybe I can get a fighter. We sit, and then we co-host. We chat. Just the way I'm looking at it like this, we can get like some fighters to do that with us too. And just change it a little bit. Change the format from just being just an interview, but more of like you guys get to talk to the fighter, and we can kind of make this a little bit fun. Maybe bring you guys on board too, so. But either or, like I said, I appreciate you guys, supporting, coming live, hanging out, not dipping out instantly, and just engaging, So we got a lot of content. If you guys didn't see, like I said, we got the Samson Lukowicz, we got Jim Lampley, we got all the post-conference stuff from yesterday. And just so you guys know, there's a fight this week. Richardson Hitchens is fighting. He's the main event, and he's in a mandatory fight where if he wins, he might be mandatory for Matias. But he has a tough fight ahead of him. We're going to be at the fight. Me and Sean are going to be at the fight out here in Vegas, and we're going to break all this stuff down. Maybe we'll do shows. Maybe I could get Sean to, step out of the hermit, and we can do some stuff like that. But we're going to have all the interviews popping up. Cruz beat the Chihuahua chain of Rolly's neck. Shout out to Believe the Hype, FightHype, great job. Yeah, and if you like the name, you know, believe the hype, you know, and trust me, there's gonna be many different shows. This is not the end all. Maybe we'll have 10 shows, right? So, but appreciate you guys. You know, I'm gonna head out. Also, I was supposed to do a shout out to my boy Vin. So here's your shout out. There you go, Vin. You got your shout out. I didn't forget. And appreciate Ben Thompson, owner of FightHype, for just giving us the opportunity just to do our thing. And stay tuned. We got a lot of fun stuff for you guys. Thanks as always.